One Piece clips with the absolutely correct read. One, Morj gonna have that fresh out the shower hair. Yeah, good call. Good call. Thanks, man. Oh, it says it's your fifth super ever. It's good to know that you wanted to let the people know what I'd be up to. All right, everybody. We've got a good stream today. Wait, one more super to catch real quick. Timothy McQueen, thanks for the 5. Hi, Morj. If you rank the top 10 most prominent Marines, I'll super chat the answer. Timothy McQueen, I always appreciate these games. These are these. I appreciate that. Okay, most prominent Marines. I assume you mean ones that show up the most often, right? Nobody talk about it. Nobody talk about it. Nobody talk about what? Nobody talk about what? All right, whatever. Okay. All right. Meek says, "Do you sing in the shower or not?" No, I'm a really, really, really phenomenally bad singer. I'm a really bad. Who could have guessed that I'm a bad singer? Who would have guessed that I'm a bad singer before I told you guys? Who would have guessed that? Who would have guessed that? I kind of want to know. Like, would you guys have guessed that I'm a bad singer before I told you? I kind of just want to know. I'm a really bad singer to the point that, like, even if I'm in the shower, like by myself, driving in a car by myself, I just don't sing. Period. It's best to to never do that ever, just so I don't accidentally ever like let that out as a habit or something like that. It's something I'm not good at. So I don't even like hearing the sound of my own voice when I'm singing, you know? Oh, everyone guessed? I think I've got a good speaking voice, but it does not translate whatsoever to a good singing voice. It's two drastically different things. So, Timothy McQueen, here's my guess. Top 10 most prominent Marines. This one should be easier. This one should be very easy, actually. Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, Garp, Sengoku, Kobe, Smoker, Tashigi, Hina, and then 10 is going to be a little... Fujitora. Probably got it right. I think I nailed that one. I think I got that one pretty much 100%. Let's see. Bag, thanks for the 5. Since there's so many comparisons from Skypiea to the rest of the story, do you think the Golden Bell could be a parallel to the One Piece? So the Golden Bell was the Skypiea way of relighting, the symbolic way of relighting the fire. It was essentially, and relighting the fire is near identical language to bringing back the dawn, right? Oda planted something very, very similar symbolically what they're shooting for in Skypiea. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100. I think at the very least, me sharing that I'm a very bad singer should motivate you guys to help me out in some way, like encouraging the streaming instead of the singing or something like that. You know what I mean? I just shared a huge weakness of mine. So, I feel like the dawn and relighting the fire are basically the same thing, right? So, in Skypiea, Oda needed a way to symbolically be like, okay, now the fire has been relit without actually lighting a fire, because again, it's a metaphor. It's not literal. So ringing the bell was his way that he decided to symbolically do that, right? I think the reason Oda went with the bell was more so that it could connect. Ringing the bell is something that can translate down to the Blue Seas, because Cricket and Cricket and company can basically hear the bell, and it's two things happening at once, right? For the Skypeans, the Shandians, there's a lot of symbolism that's associated with the ringing of the bell, relighting their fire. For Cricket, it's affirmation that his dreams, his faith, is valid, and it's being rewarded after all of these years, that what he chased all these years, what he believed in all these years, there was meaning to that. So I think that's why the bell was chosen. I don't know if the One Piece itself is going to be anything similar to ringing a bell. But what I would say is that in the same vein that relighting the fire was not literal for the Shandians, bringing back the dawn, it's not going to be like Luffy literally lights out. Well, it could be something similar where it's like it's a night sky and then Luffy's final attack brings out the sun or something, kind of like it did in Skypiea. So maybe there'll be some similarity, but I don't think it's gonna be ringing the bell. I don't think it's gonna be ringing a bell or something sound related necessarily. Maybe it'll be something that's so impactful that it reverberates across the seas, much like the golden bell reverberated from sky to the blue sea. But you know, different things. All right, let's see. Remix King, thanks to the two. Does this include manga that released in 2023? Of course, we're going to talk about Kagurabachi. I've not read it. Let's be very, very clear here, everybody. I am not qualified for the... Wait, did you message me on Twitter? I think you messaged me on Twitter. Hold on, let's see. Let's see. I think I saw that, then I forgot to respond. Remix King, this is you, right, that I'm talking to on Twitter? Can you confirm or deny? Who offered to make another tier list? That might actually be appreciated. I feel like we would be able to find one online, but at the same time, I don't know many manga. I'm not qualified whatsoever to rank all the manga of 2023. I can rank the popular ones, that's for sure. But, even the popular ones, I'm not up to date on a lot of them. But we're gonna do it anyway. And this one, so the good news is, I'll be trusting your opinions a lot on a lot of these. Like, if I'm like, hey, how was Vinland Saga this year, and you guys are like, it was really good, cool, we'll bump it up. Actually, I've got a lot of thoughts on Vinland Saga, so even if you guys say it's good, I might not believe you. I just don't think it was. I think it really went downhill after chapter 100, basically after season 2. I'm going on a tangent here that's not relevant to anything. So I'll be trusting your guys' opinion a lot. There are a lot of manga I don't read. I don't read like slice of life shit. I don't read like romance like Kaguya-sama. I don't read a lot of things. I don't even know what happened at the end of Attack on Titan, to be honest. Because I'm not caught up. I feel like I'm 70% caught up to Attack on Titan. And then I was like, I'll wait till the anime catches up, and then I'll watch it in the anime. And then the anime happened, and I didn't even watch it in the anime. So, yeah, this will be you guys are going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting this stream. But that's the way you guys like it, right? You guys want to have a voice and opinion. You guys complain that I make too many decisions, at least back in the day. Behanor, thanks a lot. I barely started reading any new manga this year outside of what I already read. But I will say the author of Summer You Were There will pay for my therapy. Really, though, I have problems starting new shit. I think it depends. So, like, it depends. If I have, like, nothing to do and lots of free time, then I'm really happy just trying lots of different series or shows, etc. I think the phase of my life I'm at is a little bit busy, and it's been that way for a while, so I just don't feel like I got a ton of free time to indulge in trying a bunch of shit. So, and what Summer You Were There? Let's take a look. It's probably I feel like it's gonna be something romance related or something. It seems like that. Okay, I'm looking at it's very clearly romance. You can look it up. It's very clearly a romance type thing. Oh, Remix King says it's made already. Hold on. Wait, let me check my rankings with Timothy McQueen. Smoker, Tashigi, Kobe, Garp Sengoku, Kizaru, Aokiji, Django. No, fuck. Django. Are you who did I get wrong? Who did I list that didn't make the cut? Hina. I think I listed Hina. Django is in there more than Hina. That kind of makes sense, because anytime Hina is there, Django is there. But Django is there also. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Django's also there in Syrup Village. Ooh says, have you seen the comedian Akash Singh? I think I've seen some random stuff of his come up in like YouTube feeds. Like I'll see random little comedian clips show up in my YouTube shorts that I'll occasionally click. Not a huge fan fan of like any new up and coming comedian in particular. I think that girl Taylor Tomlinson is very funny. I think she's very funny. I've seen Akash Singh. Here's one thing I'll say about okay, so side take. This is me personally. Also, let's get the stream lights up to 100 real quick. I'm just not. I don't really enjoy. So I'm Indian, right? I don't really personally enjoy listening to Indian comedians and such who like their bit is largely based on their race or being a minority. That's just not fun for me. That's just me, and that's not mostly what I think. The few clips that I've seen recommended to me from that guy are related to that. So that's just not the type of humor that I find funny. Even if it's getting at something that is relevant to me it's kind of just boring. Like, I prefer comedy that I feel is more, I don't know, universal or something. Like, I just feel like it's so easy to just use your race or your whatever to basically make that your bit, and it's like, haha, it's funny, I'm Indian and this is like an Indian thing. I'm like, I don't know, it's not super funny to me. And that applies to for me in general, like the type of comedians that I like. Like, usually I don't really like, if there's some stuff sprinkled in, that's funny. That's like just part of your overall act. Like, it can work as part of your overall act. But if I feel like that is what your act is, that's just not my cup of tea. If it's just like, this is my identity and like here's all the jokes about it, I'm like, I don't know. It's just not that funny for me. I don't know. That's just me. Russell Peters is a great example. Russell Peters is a great example. Morj is a second generation immigrant. I was born in India, but I moved here when I'm 1.5. So like, doesn't really count. That's just me. Ignorant Weed, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 3 months. When did you last read 2 or more One Piece chapters in a row? Shit, that's a really interesting question. I have not gotten to do that since, like, before this channel started. No, since before I went weekly with the channel. Because there's a long period when the channel wasn't weekly, and like during that period of time, I'd say like, I think 2017 to 2020 the channel wasn't weekly, and then 2020 I turned it to a weekly channel partway through. So I'd say 2020. P.S. In the new anime opening at the end, there's major manga spoiler with Vivi that you need to check out. People have tagged me about it in Twitter. I'm not going to spoil anything for people here, but that's people have tagged me about that in Twitter, so I know what's going on. Remix King is asking, how many do you want on the list? Okay, hold on. Let me just communicate to you on Twitter. Okay. Let me communicate to you here. Okay, let's feed Remix King, who is kindly, everybody applause for Remix King, who is kindly creating the tier list that we will be using. What do we want out of this tier list? Do we want mainly, I feel like I would rather I'll do a poll. I'll do a poll. For the sake of everybody, I'd rather keep it to manga that are generally popular among this viewership base, which I feel are gonna be more shonen and some action adventure seinen stuff. I might be generalizing based on my own stuff, but I think that that's usually what comes up in conversation here. Like the thing that Behenort mentioned, Summer, you were there. I feel like 5%, 3% of you all read that, for example, right? So I'd rather keep stuff in a certain bubble. So if that's okay, like I'm down to put stuff I don't know, like Sakamoto Days. People say that's really good. I'm down to put stuff like that. But I would say, just for the sake of it being a stream with people knowing what the fuck is going on, like let's keep it something a little bit, like Breezy 2X's Please No Slice of Life bullshit. Like, I'm not saying if it's bullshit or not bullshit. I'm just saying, like, stuff that we know what, like, we could have a discussion about, Blame me, blame us for being uncultured. What it is, but we're going to keep it probably tight. Yeah, Remix Game, give me a second. We'll figure this out. Let me just answer a couple of these first real quick. How Porto, thank you. Who wins Katakuri or ulti? I saw that going around on Twitter. I think that's a funny conversation. It's obviously Katakuri. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 15 months. Don't see or read much anime/manga, so I won't be any help on the stream. Don't worry, relative to a lot of people, I don't either. Happy New Year's though, Morj, and I hope 2024 is kinder to the Smoker agenda. I think it will be, man. I think 2024 will be. I mean, Smoker, what did Smoker rank on Timothy McQueen's ranking. Smoker is the most prominent Marine in the series, according to Timothy McQueen. So, still have high hopes for him. Happy New Year's to you too, man. Thanks for being a viewer, supporter for so long. Breezy2x, thanks for the 2. What's your favorite medium to consume media? I think I used to say, I think movies. I think film is always going to be my favorite. You can just, I don't know, I think you can do so much more with it. At the same time, I think long-running stories, manga might be my favorite. Although, anime is beginning to make a comeback for me. I've just started watching anime a little bit more frequently nowadays. So I might be swinging back over to enjoying anime over manga. I don't know. I just switched. Initially, I used to watch anime when I was younger. Then I switched over to exclusively reading manga because you can just get through things faster, your own pace. Lots of times anime has lots of odd pacing issues and just weird stuff that like hurts the experience. But now I've come back to trying anime again, and I feel like a lot of it's, I don't know, like a really good, like I feel like the anime for Jujutsu Kaisen is better than the manga for Jujutsu Kaisen. I feel like the manga for Chainsaw Man is better than the anime for Chainsaw Man. So it's hard to compare exactly. But that's not what you're asking, right? You're asking in general, what's your favorite medium? For long-running stories, it's probably still manga. Maybe I'll change my mind and lean towards anime at some point again. I don't know. Ace Prolific, welcome to Pirate King tier. You are in luck because the Pirate King podcast for last month just dropped. It's been out for a week now. Go check that out. It's another long one. It's an hour and 20-ish minutes. And I cover a shit ton of topics, both One Piece related, a lot comparing to other series, talking about other series, and a lot of stuff just outside the scope of all of that. So, yeah, I'm really liking doing the Pirate King podcast because a lot of them are starting to go outside the scope of One Piece as well, while still tying a lot of things back. It's fun stuff, in my opinion. Anyway, Ali H, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 14 months. W Morj, can't really catch a lot of streams. It's late here in the UK, my bad, man. But time for the real questions. Wano analysis by 2025. I'll do you one better by 2024, or in 2024, that's for sure. Tom, thanks for the 5. If you could instantly break a bad habit and acquire a good habit, what would they be? Great question. Also, if I make an epithet tier list, will you save it for the future? If you made an epithet tier list, I would really, really, really appreciate that, because that's one that will be done at some point and it will be a pain in the ass to create. So if you did that, I would seriously appreciate the fuck out of that. No need to do it. This is not a binding vow or anything like that. If you, after you log off the stream, you're like, I don't feel like it, totally fine. But if you did it, that'd be awesome. If I could break a bad habit and acquire a good habit, right? I think I would say does sleep count? Because there's times when I'm going through it right now where I'm trying to fix my sleep schedule, and it's really fucking difficult to do good sleep habits. Like, I'll just be like, I'll just stay up a little bit longer, then I'll be able to go to sleep in 5 minutes or something, and then I pass the window where I probably should have tried to go to sleep, and then I'm up like for hours and hours. Like, it got really bad after I got back from Malaysia, and I'm slowly fixing it. Because the jet lag fucked things over for a little bit, and then it just took a long time to adjust. I'm slowly fixing it. So sleep stuff, I'll just go through cycles where, like, randomly I'd have a lot of trouble fixing my sleep schedule for like a week or two, or longer. But it's nowhere near as bad as a lot of people have. Usually I sleep fine, but it'll just be randomly I get into a really bad sleep cycle, and then it fucks over me, my work week, my focus for like a long period of time. And it's one thing that I can't just fix myself. Like, I could say, sure, procrastination, you could put that down as a habit, but in my mind, that's something that you can always fix yourself. But sleep is this tricky thing where it's so difficult to trick yourself into just falling asleep. It's out of your hands pretty much, right? The harder you try, it's one of those things where the harder you try, the more difficult it is. So it's the one thing that is kind of out of my control to a degree. I'm sure there's ways that people have figured out, but I don't really know what they are. So I'd say something sleep related. Good question. Young Smokey VP17, thanks for the 10. Thoughts on the One Piece anime remake? Will you watch it? Sorry if you addressed this before. No worries whatsoever. I appreciate the question, obviously. I feel like I will definitely be watching it. I think that I did a full stream talking about it when it came out, so I could refer you back to that stream. You could check that out after this stream if you like. But definitely, I will be watching it. Yeah, I'm just really happy about it because you guys know my thoughts on the One Piece anime. Not going to belabor those again, but I just don't think it's very good. I don't think it has been very good for a long time, and it's not something I would ever recommend for people to get into the series. I think this could finally be something that I could recommend for people to get in the series. The One Piece Netflix live action helped, but it's not the same story, right? It's a different take on the same ideas. The new One Piece anime will be the same story, I assume, beat for beat, like a direct adaptation, the same way the current anime is, just done much better, which is what I would love to show to people to get into the series. Okay, let me just see real quick if I'm missing anything. Remix King, I will get back to you in a second. Sorry, man. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything here. Zex545, thanks for the 2 thoughts on a certain fight that I won't spoil. I thought it was a great fight for the most part. Hype ending, I think I'm cool with what the ending was. I think the way that the ending was executed is really unnecessarily jarring and kind of anticlimactic. Like, I'm cool with who won, the concept of how X character won. I just wish that it was not presented to us in the sudden and abrupt manner in which it was, because that's no fun for me going back through and rereading that fight. It just feels very anticlimactic. I feel like I don't actually get an end to the fight. I just get told that there was an ending to the fight. That's basically it. Alright. And I think I'm almost caught up. Ali H. No, we covered this. Covered this. Zex545. I'm sorry. I just caught your comment saying I think you skipped me. If I miss you, I'm sorry you had to super chat again. If I miss you, just spam in the chat that you got, or not spam, but say in the chat that you got missed, and hopefully, like, usually a mod or someone will mention it to me. Sorry about that. Sometimes I read the supers a little bit out of order, but I have a way to see them all on the side. Goomba Boomba, thanks for the 2. Did you watch the new opening? Absolutely phenomenal. No, I haven't, but I've heard really good things. I'm sure it's a really well done opening. Let's get the stream likes to 100 real quick. Behanort, the thing about my manga reading experience is that I read a lot of Yuri manga that nobody in Weekly Shonen Jump bubble will ever hear about. I also read light novels. Yeah, that's the thing. We're probably going to keep that stuff not in this stream. I'm sure that the stuff you read is great. Ultimately, most of us are the uncultured ones, and that we just read stories for the most part about characters hitting each other. That's what, at least in manga and anime, that's what I come to the medium for. For this, I come to manga and anime specifically for that, for characters hitting each other. That's you know, that's what I like this genre for the most part. But obviously, there's a lot more to it than that. That's just what many of us in this chat are probably not as interested in. All right, react to the new One Piece opening. No, I just get no joy out of watching One Piece. Like, to me, they're just music videos. I don't really know what to. I don't watch most animes openings ever. Most animes openings I don't watch because they generally have spoilers, and 2, they're music videos. I just don't feel like sitting down to watch a music video that features, you know, characters and locations and stuff I like, but not in actual scenes, or like kind of like a twist on certain scenes that happen. I just don't get I personally don't get the appeal of it. I kind of get the appeal of it, but I just personally, I get no joy out of watching them. I can watch them and be like, yeah, that was cool, that was well done, but it's just not my thing. Dynamic, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 10 months. Hey, Jorm. When I subbed, you told the chat that everyone who subbed that day would get a portion of the channel revenue. When are the checks coming? Yours is probably in the mail. I suggest you check right now. Check tomorrow, or check in a week. Alright. Meek, thanks for the 5. Do you think that Blackbeard and Emu may ever meet in the story? How would they interact? That's a really fucking interesting idea. I like to think that they could interact. Because I feel like that interaction would show us a lot, would tell us a lot about Blackbeard more than anything. Even just Blackbeard talking to Agorase would be interesting. But I don't know when in the story would happen. I just feel like at the point in the story that Eam's more of an active player, Blackbeard might just be defeated by that point. I don't know. I'm sure it's really good, guys. I'm sure it's really good. I'm sure it's good. You want me to say I'm sure it's good? I'm not even hating on anime openings. I believe that the openings are good. I believe that the openings are good. I believe that this opening's really good. I don't feel like watching it. I don't know what to say. All right. Let's let me do the poll I want to do. Whose stream is this, huh? Let me do the poll I want to do. Eric's asking, is it true you don't like joy or entertainment? I just don't want to watch the anime opening. I'm not an anime openings person. Like, I don't get that excited over seeing a music video of, like, fake events, basically, you know? Like, I'm sure it's really artistically done and stuff, but I prefer seeing artistry, you know, in the actual story, in the actual, you know, work of fiction. I think it's kind of wasted just thrown into a random music video personally, but I still believe the music video is very good, though. I believe it's a great music video. All right. What was the question I was going to ask everyone? Oh, yeah. Okay. What series are we including? I'm not hating. I believe you guys. I'm sure it is good. All right. All right, let's do this. Actually, I don't even know I'm giving you guys a poll for this. We're just going to go with the mostly popular shonen and seinen option. A lot of people are choosing all manga 2023. It's closer than I thought, but ultimately we're going to go with what we're going to go with, which is mostly popular shonen and seinen. It's more inclusive, everybody. It's more inclusive. I know that there's a ton of great manga that are not in this genre. Very high class, very well written manga, but it's for inclusivity, right? So that people in the stream, we all know what we're talking about to a degree. Behanort says, about new episode, Emu might have their own theme now. It's super eerie and sounds great. I'm glad that Emu might have their own iconic leitmotif. I've never said that word out loud. Never said that word out loud. I might check that out. I'll check that out at some point. No, the uncultured is winning. Yeah, that's the way society goes. Because if everyone was cultured, then then being cultured doesn't mean anything, right? The definition of the concept is that most people have to be uncultured, and then there's a smaller minority that is the cultured class, right? Because if everyone was the cultured class, then it's just, that's just the norm. That's just everybody just being like, a normie, basically, right? Like, then there is no cultured class. It's just the way shit works. Because then it would just be, if most people were cultured and a small minority were uncultured, then we wouldn't even use those phrases anymore. We'd just be like normal and then stupid, right? And then amongst the normal class, there would again be a more elite cultured class. It's just the way that the system's always going to work out. You see what I mean? So yeah, actually the question was doomed from the very beginning. The game's rigged. All right. Eric's saying the Blackbeard plot is going that way. He wants to be a king for a reason. He will take the throne in the end. I don't think that Blackbeard is going to be the king of the ocean, personally. Blackbeard on the throne is a good idea, though. It's a fun idea. Nerve and V-Maker, thanks for the 5. Has Egghead changed your supernova rankings? Before I had Bonnie as my least favorite, but now she might be my favorite non-Strahd supernova. Here's the thing about the supernova. The bar is so ridiculously low for good supernova characters that it doesn't really matter, does it? My supernova rankings are now, if I had to do quick supernova rankings, I would say something like we're not gonna count Luffy and Zoro, right? So Kid is very low. I'm not even gonna rank some of these. Well, if I have to, Apu is probably the lowest. Hawkins is low as fuck. X Drake is really low. Yuruj is in the middle just because he hasn't done anything that would warrant lowering his standing, I suppose. I thought Capone Beige is awesome. Yeah, I think Capone Beige is pretty awesome, but he was a lot of fun in the Whole Cake Island arc. He hasn't done that much now, so I'm getting the sense that he's a low impact character overall. Yeah, Kid, Apu, Hawkins, Drake, these guys all suck. So then we've got Yuruj kind of just doing whatever. Who am I missing? Right? We got Law, Bonnie, Beige, Killer. Killer is better than Kid. Killer's okay. So I like, yeah, out of the characters that yeah, Bonnie's, I guess, my favorite, quote unquote, of the Supernovas now. I'm pretty sure, like, she's my favorite of the Supernovas that aren't Luffy and Zoro. I kind of want to see more of her character now that we understand who she actually is. And then kind of judge her based off of that, if that makes sense. But yeah, she's probably my favorite of the Supernovas now. And fun fact, Law is probably second. Just because I'd love to put Capone Beige above him. But Capone Beige has just done so little since Whole Cake Island. And he was really cool in the middle set, like, or 2/3 mark of Whole Cake Island when he's like doing the whole mafia plot and everything like that. But then he was kind of inconsequential to a lot of it afterwards. So even in Whole Cake Island, he's kind of buried. So that's kind of just goes to show how little I think of most of the Supernovas. So Bonnie's number one, but it's number one out of a giant pile of trash for me. Okay. English 1D1, thanks for the 5. I vote for Shonen/Seinen and for Seinen and for everyone to get the likes up to 300. I agree. Let's get the likes up to 300. Let's try and do 200 first as a more reasonable goal. But yeah, poll is closed. We've got our situation done. Let me just talk to Remix King real quick here. Okay. Wait, what's going on? Oh, he's already made it. Wait, let's see. Remix King, if you're still there, first of all, everyone to say thank you. Second of all, let me take a moment to vet. Okay, I'll show you guys what he's got, and then we can kind of vote on that. Let me move some shit around. Give me a second here. OG3 says, in your heart, Law is at the bottom, but your brain has him higher. Okay, if I was gonna rank best characters or something, like who I think are the best written, most compelling characters overall, obviously Law is number one out of the Supernova, right? Bonnie is nowhere near close enough yet in terms of what she's done. Or the Kuma backstory was largely Kuma based, and Bonnie was a piece of it. She was a compelling piece, but not, you know, I don't put Bonnie, I don't really compare. I don't think she holds a candle to Law yet as a character. But we're talking about my favorite Supernovas, right? Not my ranking of what I think are better written characters or something. So, like, I've said this many a time. Law is one of the best characters in One Piece overall. He's a great character. Great might be a strong word. He's a good character, right? I also don't think he's one of the best characters of One Piece. I think I exaggerated a bit too much there, but he is one of the better characters in One Piece. I think post time skip, he is one of the best characters that's come out of the post time skip in One Piece. But yeah, it's just I've explained my reasons a million times why Law is not a character that I will ever care for. You all know what it is, you know. All right. All right, if Remix King is still here, we might have some edit requests for the tier list, but let me share what he made. Again, everyone say thanks to him. Brooke is the goat says, can anyone see my chats? Brooke is the goat is on something right now. He says, "Ayo guys, am I God? Then can anyone see my chats?" Question mark. Then can Morj see me? Question mark. Oh man, you just went down a like some sort of like paranoid rabbit hole there of like, wait, am I just invisible? Can anyone see me? Can Morj even see me? I like that I was one of your priorities. It was like, okay, if no one can see me, I hope at least Morj can see my comments. Yes, I can. Don't worry about it, man. I saw you. Sean Easton, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 15 months. You can check chat history for each chatter now, apparently. Holy shit. Really? How do I do that? Let me click on someone. I'll check your chat history, Sean Easton. Let's see what you've been seeing or saying. How do I check this? It doesn't say I can do that. It just says I could report you, remove you, put you in timeout, hide you on the channel, remove you as managing moderator. Those are all such bad things. Imagine if I accidentally clicked any of those. They're all just like scary options. All right. Let's see. How do I see chat history? I don't see. I'm clicking on people. I don't see myself able to see chat history. Okay. Can't think of anything else. So good content. Let's have a good 2024. I appreciate it, man. All right. Appreciate it. Yeah, let's pull this shit up. Okay. So this is option 1, which is fairly sparse, but he said that this is the safer option, as in this is what he thinks of us. This is what we would enjoy. It's Berserk, Black Clover, Blue Lock, Boruto, Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, One Piece, Pokemon Adventures, our favorite, and Undead Unluck. Here's the other option. I think this one is closer to what we're hoping for, right? I think you may have overestimated how uncultured we are. We're a little cultured. We just don't read... Okay, I don't read Oshinoko, the summer thing that Behanort was talking about. Spy Family, I'll be honest, I've only seen one episode. Look good. Not my thing. Undead Unluck, Vinland Saga, Zom 100. Could we get maybe One Punch Man? And I assume people read like Mob Psycho. Okay, what's missing here? Let's see what's missing here. I think second one's better. Let's give some constructive requests to Remix King. So I'm going to close out of the first one. We're going to roll with the second one, but if some changes could be made, maybe. All right? Yeah, could we get... Okay, Remix King. Could we get... I'll post here. Here are the things that we may... Okay. Sakamoto Days. I'll just type out the full thing, and then I'll send one message. Or maybe it's easier if I send one at a time. Sakamoto Days. Insatiable Hunger is saying, I've been binge reading other manga. Frieren, Fire Punch, Kaiju number 8. Fire Punch isn't running anymore. Claymore, Dadadan, Dorohedoro. Dude, I mix up Dadadan and Dorohedoro a lot because they sound the same, right? They sound the same. Like, if you don't... Obviously, they sound very different when you read them out back to back. But I'm saying in passing, like a viewer will randomly say one stream, like, oh, make sure to read Dadadan or whatever. Dadadan or Dandadadan, like, something like that. And I'm like, okay, I'll remember that. And some, like, 4 streams later, someone will be like, oh, have you tried Dorohedoro? Dorohedoro. What a weird name. Have you tried Dorohedoro? And I'm like, somebody said something basically that sounded a lot like that a while back. You know what I mean? Like, it's just this weird D alliteration. Just sounds like the same in my mind. And then I see them back to back and I'm like, oh, I forgot they're 2 different things. Vinland Saga, Chainsaw Man, Hell's Paradise. I watched 2 episodes of Hell's Paradise. And what? And you didn't finish your thought. Miss Super Chat from Pat Galley. I haven't seen Pat Galley in a minute. I don't want to miss a Super Chat from Pat Galley. I've got a couple Miss Super Chat. Oh, I got several. Hold on. I got a few to catch up on. Pat Galley, thanks for the 5. Berserk's last 2 chapters gave me some hope for the future of the story. Really enjoyed One Punch Man this year. You really need to watch the opening. Okay. I'll watch the opening, but... Okay, if everyone's really good this stream, maybe I'll watch the opening at the end. I don't know. I don't even know what being good means, but we'll see. We might watch the opening at the end. Um, Berserk's last 2 chapters, dude. I don't believe in Berserk whatsoever. I think it's so. I think that's a manga which is which is like near impossible to just replace the author for, because it's just so much of Berserk's greatest strengths were like, a lot of subtle things, dialogue, writing, small character interactions, visual symbolism, things like that. You can't just pick up a random guy and like have him do it. It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, so the way I look at it, I think that with One Piece, right, you could give someone the outline of the story from now till the end, and as long as it's a fairly detailed outline, you could probably get an okay-ish ending, like an okay-ish recreation of One Piece, because first of all, the art is not one of the most important things whatsoever. Honestly, whoever comes in might be able to do a sharper job with the art and paneling. And then two, it's like, I don't think Oda's greatest strengths are like the panel-to-panel dialogue or anything like that, right? I feel like you can look at ideas like how the Ace novel went or the Law novel went or something, and it's like, you can do a lot. Like, other authors can take One Piece's concepts and do really good dialogue, really good character writing with what Oda gives them. You could take the Kuma backstory, and it's a phenomenal backstory, but other authors, if you gave them the beat for beat, here's what happens throughout Kuma's backstory, they could do a good recreation of it. You know what I mean? Because it's not like every panel of Kuma's backstory is like brilliant dialogue or writing. There are 3-4 moments, I think, in Kuma's backstory that is really, really like sharp dialogue by Oda that sticks out to me, like Kuma's conversation with the Celestial Dragon, like with Kuma's conversation with Saturn as a kid, specifically, the final words as Ginny died, and then obviously the last 3 pages of chapter 1102 during Kuma's death sequence. But everything else, you could get other authors that can write similar type dialogue if they're given the same story ideas. That's just not like One Piece's or Oda's greatest strength or focus for the most part. It's not usually like the little micro stuff. It's the bigger ideas for the most part, right? Berserk, you need that guy writing the story. It's impossible to recreate Miura's strengths by just having like the broad ideas taken and handed to somebody else. It's totally different. I know it's not literally a random guy. I know the author's Mori. I know that he's a mangaka in his own right. But I'm saying, him being his best friend has nothing to do with, like, that's... I know he's his best friend. I know that he told him what's supposed to happen. But I'm saying, ultimately, just because you're best friend... Like, that's like saying, oh, I could get, like my dad could... write Morj videos or something like that, you know what I mean? Or like, it's that's the most random ass. It's like, oh fuck, like Dostoevsky died. What if his cousin just came along and wrote off his books or something? Like, there's no translation there. Like, being friends with someone, like, it's like, oh fuck, I guess my wife could just do this, or I guess my fucking nephew could just take over this or something. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Mozart passes away. It's like, oh, don't worry, Mozart's got a sister. Actually, his sister was a very talented composer. Some said that she even had potential to be even a greater genius than Mozart. Let's say Mozart's a poor example. Beethoven died. Have his fucking sister write his 10th symphony. What the fuck? It's just so ridiculously irrelevant. I don't even know what to say. And it's not like the manga that he wrote previously was like anywhere close to the quality of what Berserk was. Knowing my whole point is like knowing the outline of Berserk and how it's going to go, it does not translate whatsoever to the chapter-to-chapter feel of, like, reading a Berserk chapter. Goomba Boomba says, no media brings me joy as much as One Piece. Yeah, I mean, One Piece is, like, in my opinion, so I think One Piece is my favorite media for just feel-good emotion. I think it's always been that. And I know we're coming off the Kuma backstory, which has fucked us all up so much, but I think it's largely because One Piece is really good at making you feel really, really sad and then making you feel really, really happy afterwards. Kind of like, I want to live, like Robin's sad backstory, but then I want to live, and then setting fire to the world government's flag, and then Lucci getting fucked up and like them saving Robin, right? Like it takes you to a really dark place in order to save you from there. That's One Piece's, in my opinion, that's what it does better than any other manga. That sort of flow of emotion. Like even just Nami's backstory into help me, into Luffy saying, "Of course I will," and then him and them doing the walk to Arlong Park. I know not canon to the manga, but then at least busting into Arlong Park and then Luffy beating up Arlong. Amazing rush of emotion. All right, let's move along. Wild Strawberries. Have you read it? Isn't that the... I thought that's an Ingmar Bergman film. Is it a book too? What do you mean have I read it? It's a movie. All right. Yeah, at least we're going to get the canon ending, but it's not going to be anywhere close to like the actual strengths of Berserk are so like just get it's not the plot is usually not the plot of Berserk is good, but it's not the most important. Like I don't think people are really the ending of Berserk does matter a lot, but just knowing the ending, it's not going to translate to how the chapters are individually written. Alright, let's move it along. Troyland Ford says is Morj a law hater now. I remember when Morj had a law profile pic. Man, you must be new to the streams, because I did have a law profile pic for a long time, but that's not because I was a huge law fan. It was just because I felt like law fit the persona of the channel, if that makes sense. We got off topic. Who are we supposed to pick here? Wild Strawberries is a manga. Oh, interesting. Oh shit, check DMs, Morj. I'm also missing a couple supers, hold on. Morj, refresh the list and we'll have the manga that people suggested. Alright, let's see what Remix King has added. Okay, so now we've got Berserk, Black Clover, Blue Lock, Boruto. Don't know what this is. Stray Dogs. I don't know if people wanted Stray Dogs. Can we get... Okay, I'm going to ask for some requests to remove things. Stray Dogs is my request. Freerun, I feel like people are just going to... I don't know how many people actually read the Freerun manga. I feel like people are just going to request... I'm going to put my request to cut here. I feel like most people have not read the Freerun manga. I feel like most people are just like, oh, we watched the anime, therefore we're going to vote it. Magi, is Magi even running still? I thought Magi manga. I feel like Magi manga is over. We're not ranking all manga in existence. We're just ranking what has been going so far, like running this year. Is Oshi no Ko running? Yes. Pokemon Adventures we unfortunately have to keep. We're gonna get rid of this. I can keep Spy Family. I didn't look. Zom 100, is that running still? The Book of the Dead. Okay. We're gonna keep that. I thought people would put in Mob Psycho for some reason. Attack on Titan, I thought that ended last year. I thought Attack on Titan's manga ended last year. Am I correct or incorrect? I think this ended last year. Haikyuu, is that still running? I thought Haikyuu ended. Haikyuu ended. This one's going on forever. Hunter x Hunter I don't think had chapters this year unless I'm crazy. JoJo's is running. One Punch Man is running. I don't even know what this is. I'm gonna get rid of it. Slam Dunk is still running. Vagabond's not running. Slam Dunk ended. I'm pretty sure. Okay. We're gonna roll with this list. Is there anything else we want to add? Did people want to add in... I think this list looks good to me. All right, let me catch up on supers real quick. Okay. Um, Mr. MMF2, thanks. Yo, Morj, which antagonist got more development, Kaido or Pickle from Baki? I have to say it's Kaido. Um, Pickle is a funny character though. I thought Pickle would be a much bigger deal, but I thought they could have done something more interesting with Pickle. Pickle just turned out to be. I feel like the way Pickle was introduced and how strong Pickle seemed like he could be and what it could bring to the world of Baki was really, really had tremendous potential. But then it just felt like, okay, it's a guy. It's a. I don't mind spoiling Baki, by the way. It's just Baki. Like, nobody get upset over this. I will walk through every beat of Baki's plot that I know without any sense of guilt right now if people prod me enough, okay? It's just Baki. Any other series, I will try and watch myself for spoilers as much as I can. I feel no shame in spoiling Baki for any of you all. So, with Pickle, I feel like after a little bit, like initially the way it was introduced was so exciting, especially the initial like fist bump with Yujiro and everything. And it was like, oh wow, what could Pickle be? Like, what's the potential of this? And then by the end of the season, you're like, okay, so he's like a bit stronger than Mr. Oliva, basically. It's not a huge deal. I think it's just the obsession that the author has with keeping Yujiro as this sort of unattainable goal. I think it hurts a lot of the potential of excitement in the story because it's just like nothing introduced as a challenge. You already know what the biggest challenge is there, so it's harder to get hyped over new introductions. At least for me. Akash Panda says, I cannot love Law, Morger Tiger. That's funny, dude. Insatiable Hunger with an interesting question. Why is One Piece good? Like, compared to those stories, it's nothing. The art, character, plot, world, dialogue, themes, why do I enjoy One Piece more? Because it hasn't ended? What are you talking about? Okay, Insatiable... Okay, I forgot the second part of your question. Okay, so, Insatiable Hunger's full question is, he's been binging other manga, Frieren, Fire Punch, Kaiju 8, Claymore, Dadadan, Dorohedoro, Vinland Saga, Chainsaw Man, Hell's Paradise, and he's asking, why is One Piece good? Like, compared to those stories, it's nothing. The art, characters, plot, world, dialogue, themes, why do I enjoy One Piece more? Because it hasn't ended, question mark? Look, I can't answer for you why you enjoy One Piece more. I think that you're selling One Piece short here. I think that One Piece has a... Art, let's set aside, right? I think One Piece does do characters really well for individual... I think it tells really, really compelling stories for individual characters. Even if, like, you're not necessarily going to get extremely deep character examinations necessarily like you're going to get in certain series. You are going to get really compelling stories that tug at your heartstrings and move you emotionally with a lot of One Piece characters. See the Kuma backstory recently. Plot-wise, I think One Piece has, in my opinion, the best constructed large-scale plot that I've ever seen. So many threads, so much build-up, such a decisively planned out structure, things seamlessly moving together, things build very, very well on top of each other. You can tell the phases of the story. I think One Piece's overarching plot is beautiful. The world, of course, of One Piece, I think, blows out all of those other series out of the water that you mentioned. And dialogue, I think One Piece is, like, really hit it. Like, I think a lot of the dialogue in One Piece, yes, it's very, very, very simplistic, almost, like, cartoonishly simplistic at a lot of points, but there are certain segments or, like, bits of dialogue that are really randomly really, really poignant or, that, like, there's the moments that we can all think of One Piece's classic one-liners or classic bits of dialogue, and those really tend to stick out. Like, when Oda has a really, really juicy line or interaction or message planned, it's usually phrased very, very well. It's just that he's got a lot to cram into chapters, so, like, lots of times the dialogue can feel like a little bit like like little simplistic is the nice way to say it, I think, chapter to chapter. And then Themes, I think One Piece does themes really, really well. I don't think One Piece is going to get really deep with like some of its thematic ideas necessarily, but the way that the themes are constructed and delivered in the story, One Piece does that phenomenally well, honestly. I think that Oda's one of the better writers in like better mangaka, like up there with most everybody that you mentioned. Like I think he does um, thematic construction as well as pretty much any other mangaka that I can think of, like that's here, for example. It's just that he's not gonna get at anything like it's more broad feel good themes like freedom and like friendship and stuff like that. So it's not gonna get as deep in terms of what the idea is, but how the idea is presented is like masterfully done usually. Um, yeah. Ryan Eastman says, "Hi Morj." Gonna skip a bit of what he says. Should I watch Jujutsu Kaisen? Also, has part 2 of Chainsaw Man improved in your eyes? I haven't read the latest chapter, so I don't know. I think it's hitting an interesting point, but my issue is not with the point that it's hitting right now. It's how we got there. So I kind of need to just let part 2 play out. I'll probably let a lot of chapters build up and then binge it. Should you watch Jujutsu Kaisen? I mean, I haven't even watched the second season yet, but I know what the arc is, and it's like it's an arc that would be a ton of fun to binge. I'm trying to find a nice free day where I just have a lot of free time and binge the whole thing. So I would recommend watching Jujutsu Kaisen. I just think the first season's probably not going to be as good as you think. All right. Let's get the stream likes to 200 and let's move things along. Morj, please check DMs. Sorry, I've been looking at this. Okay. More black dress is Sakamoto Days. Oh, this is Sakamoto Days? This girl, is that Sakamoto Days? Hunter got updated 2023 March. Okay, I'm moving Hunter x Hunter back. Okay, refresh now. All right, okay. Oh, can we get rid of, I'd say, I still think get rid of Frieren, because I feel like most people are just going to talk about Frieren the anime. It's going to be their perspective. Like, they're going to be like, put Frieren in S tier, and you just know it's a bunch of people who just watch the Frieren anime and are not caught up to the manga. Like, I assume some people are caught up to Frieren the manga, but it's going to be like 10% of the 100% of people that are going to be saying Frieren S tier. I didn't realize that I thought that those Hunter x Hunter chapters came out in 2022 for some reason. I didn't know that the 10 chapters were in March. No, I haven't even watched or read Frieren. I don't know how good the manga is, but I'm just saying that I know that most of the responses for Frieren, people are going to be saying it's really good. I've heard the anime is really phenomenal, but I feel like it's just going to be people who watch the anime, think that Frieren's really, really good based off the anime, and say put it in S tier, when that's not what we're discussing. We're discussing the manga chapters that came out of 2023. How many of you Frieren fans have actually read all of the manga chapters that came out for Frieren in 2023? The volume released in March? I'm not counting that. I thought those chapters came out last year. All right. Remix King, if you're still listening, if you could remove Hunter x Hunter and Frieren, that would be great. But if you are done with the list and you don't feel like updating anymore, that's okay too. You've done more than enough. We can easily start at this point. I'll give you a minute. It's up to you if you want to or not. He says, okay. I'll give you a little bit. It's up to you if you want to do it or not. Okay. Let me just see real quick. Did I miss any other stuff? I think I'm good. I think I'm caught up here. Okay, thanks, Remix King. And with this, I think we're good. Why is Hunter x Hunter still here? I'm so confused, man. Okay, so Hunter x Hunter's just here. Okay. Okay, saying no, I will update right now. Guys, we are not so someone's saying Hajime to Ippo is S tier. Best sports manga. Guys, don't sleep on sports manga, etc. it's not about which one's the best manga, right? Berserk is not an S just because it's generally an S tier manga. It's what is the series in 2023? What's the manga of 20? We're not doing an all-time manga ranking. It's just 2023. Refresh again. All right, thank you. Thank you. All right. And now I think that we are good. Now I think we're good. All right. So, I have no fucking idea how to rank this. So this is going to be, again, I said from the beginning of this that you guys are going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. You guys are going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Reason being, so the manga that let me show you guys real quick. So, manga that I've read amongst these are Berserk, Black Clover. I haven't really read that. I read the first arc of that. I don't know if that counts. This. I read a chapter of Kagurabachi. Read the first arc of Kingdom. Read enough of My Hero Saga. Read it. This. So right off the bat, I haven't, and then I've dabbled. I've read a chapter of that. Read a bit of this. Read a bit of this. Right. So this is stuff that I've just. I hadn't read a chapter of this. 2 chapters of this. So this is stuff that I've read. This is stuff that I've mildly dabbled in. Okay. Now let me show you what I've actually read in 2023. No, I think I read a few chapters of this in 2023. I read that stuff that happened. No. Yes. No. Like 2 chapters. No. Read like a chapter of this. So it's looking pretty sparse, right? So here's where we're at. This is just the way the situation is. So, oh shit! I forgot. And Pokemon Adventures. I read a lot of that one. I read a lot of that one. I have not read that in 2023, granted, though. I'll admit I'd not read the chapters that came out in 2023. I'm sure they're absolute bangers, but I unfortunately missed out. This is one of those where it's just like, it goes without saying, you know? I did read Pokemon Adventures, though. I loved it. I missed a few supers. Pat Galleys, at least? Dude, I think I caught Pat Galleys. Let me, okay, thank you, Virgil Hawkins. Let me see again. Oh, no, I didn't catch his new one. Okay, my bad. Thank you, my bad. Pat Galley, thanks for the 5. That's an interesting take about Berserk. Do you feel that way about Hunter x Hunter? Or could Togashi's wife write Hunter x Hunter? She wrote the Sailor Moon. Dude, I haven't watched much Sailor Moon ever. I've mostly just seen... I know that they do the transformations. That's what I know of Sailor Moon. And I know that they're named after planets. Except, is Sailor Moon named after the moon? Hold on, let's find out one thing real quick. Sailor Moon, sailors. Why is one of them named after the moon? Because the sailors are... Look at this. So, like... They're all named after planets. Like Uranus, Mars, Jupiter, Neptune, Mercury, Saturn, Venus, Pluto, and then Moon. Does anyone understand why this is? Why is this? Where's Earth? Shouldn't she just be Sailor Earth? I don't know. This doesn't make sense to me. But I knew that they were all named after planets. Anyway, I personally don't think that translates at all to writing Hunter x Hunter. Like, it's just two totally different scenes. Or sorry, not scenes, series, right? It's like, if... I don't even know what the comparison is. It's 2 totally different series, right? I do also feel that way about Hunter x Hunter, where Hunter x Hunter is written in, like, put it simply, Oda's a great writer, Togashi's a great writer. You can't have Oda write a chapter of Hunter x Hunter at all. Like, read any chapter of Hunter x Hunter. It's so the right, like, what Togashi likes to have characters write about, think about, the type of dialogue that they have is so drastically different than something like than the way Oda would write a chapter, right? Like, it's almost the polar opposite in that Togashi likes getting very, very, very cerebral and meticulous and very, very thorough with every single thing certain characters are thinking, I think the dialogue is generally sharper in Hunter x Hunter, although you could argue in recent arcs it's become overly verbose. I would probably agree with that in a lot of spaces. But yeah, Hunter x Hunter is now, like, the characters just have such a very specific way of thinking, speaking, communicating. Yeah, you can't just have a random writer just swap in for Togashi. It would immediately lose that distinct voice that Togashi has. And at the same time, you also can't have, like, even other good writers just come in and swap in for Togashi, because there's a very distinct voice and style that Hunter x Hunter is written with. This is not like a knock on Oda. Again, I think Oda's strengths are very different. I don't think Oda's strengths are like chapter to chapter dialogue. Again, he has some really phenomenal classic lines that come through in One Piece, but for the most part, One Piece's writing is very, very basic. Like, put it this way, random people at Toei Animation did like the Marine G8 arc, right? And if you ask a One Piece reader, the dialogue in that arc is going to read pretty much the same way as as a normal One Piece arc, right? It's not going to have any of those timeless lines like, like, when does a man die when he's forgotten and stuff. But, in terms of the average, like, what do you usually expect these One Piece characters to sound like, talk like, interact like, chapter to chapter? Yeah, the G8 arc is basically that. Like, Oda's writing is usually not that highbrow most chapters, right? So that's a more replicable thing if somebody had an outline of One Piece. Something like Berserk and Hunter x Hunter doesn't really fall into that category. You can't really have other writers come in and try and replicate it. Yeah, that was the only filler arc that was decent. But again, like, filler arcs are generally going to be bare minimum effort. So the fact that even one was something like not only imitated the normal One Piece writing style, but for many people, they're like, that's a standout, like, best arc, like one of the best arcs in One Piece. Like, that says quite a bit in terms of, like, yeah, if some effort is put into it, you can have other writers imitate the Straw Hats interactions quite a bit. Like, you could like, you could probably sit down and write like 10 Frankie lines, like, Super, Cola, I love the Sunny. The Sunny's super not gonna lose to that. Like, these are all just straight out of the manga, right? Like, Brook makes a skull joke that he's made it 50 times. Like, it's predictable. Like, One Piece is a series of a lot of, like, predictable interactions and dialogues between lots of characters, and they're very, very set in terms of what they each represent, the type of mannerisms they have. It's just the way the series is. Virgil Hawkins, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 15 months. What themes and messages do you find affect you the most emotionally in a story? And which do you always find most interesting when explored? Plus, read Slam Dunk, at least before Vagabond. Oh, that's a really, really big question. That's honestly too difficult, because it's like, there's things that affect me a lot emotionally. But then there's things that I find more okay, so those are two different questions, so you phrase them as two different questions anyway. Affect me the most emotionally are usually things like anything that involves, like, a sense of loss, either of, like, a person, like, let's use One Piece terms, right? Like, Nami losing Bellamy and her family, etc., or extreme loss of, I guess, like, sense of self-value, things like that, like what Robin went through with O'Hara, or like I talked about in that one stream, like that cow, like what Jessie in Toy Story 2 when she's left behind, or like abandoned and stuff like that. I think things like that, like a sense of like a character kind of feeling as though either they lose something because outside circumstances, or they're made to feel worthless because, like, let's say, like, if a dog is abandoned on the side of the road or something like that, like, stuff like that is really, really sad to me, because I'm just like, fuck, how must that dog feel right now, realizing that the owners that it loved, like, and treated like, basically the most important thing in the world to it, basically didn't care for it at all. Stuff like that, when that happens in stories, that hits me quite hard, because you just feel so much for those characters in those situations. So not exactly like what Robin experienced, but stuff like that. And ideas that I find most interesting are usually sci-fi ones, to be honest. Anything to do with like, no, it's, I guess it doesn't really count as sci-fi. Like death, existence, time, universe, reality, like stuff like that. I always gets me. That's obviously not like One Piece's strength in that sense, but I don't really read like those are. I read different things for different things, or like consume different forms of media for different stuff, right? Yeah, I do like freedom. Freedom's also like an emotionally more emotion based theme that I really enjoy. Freedom's huge. Freedom, dreams, and ambition, actually. Those are all really huge. I think I kind of take them for granted because One Piece does them so well, and One Piece is the series I kind of look at for that. So, if I'm being honest, those are probably the most important values that resonate with me if a series is pushing that. But One Piece kind of does that so well that it just, I don't even really care about seeing that in other series. Does that make sense? It's just like I grew up with One Piece. It's like a very integral series to connecting to me and the things that I care about. So, and it's just shaped me quite a bit as sort of like a sort of a North Star, I guess, growing up. Just a series that I could always go back to. So again, freedom, dreams, ambition, those things, those are probably actually the values that I care about the most. But there's one story that just encapsulates it so completely that I don't really care. Like, I don't even think about it anymore in terms of other series. You know what I mean? Like, Naruto wants to be Hokage. I don't give a fuck. Like, that's not important to me because, like, it's just, I feel like One Piece brings that idea together so well. I don't know if that makes sense. Amon says, I like freedom, what it take, lol. I mean, as a theme, you know, like in the context we're talking about here. Anyway, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. All right, let's get the stream rolling. So, we're going to put One Piece in S tier. This has probably been the best year for the One Piece manga since the post-time skip happened, I think, in my opinion. I like the theme of freedom. Let's clarify that there. I imagine everybody likes freedom as a general concept. But again, I think One Piece just does it in a way that connects with me so much that I don't really care to like. It's not important for me in other series. Ponty, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 8 months. Hey Morj, Happy New Year. Could you imagine making a video for Vinland Saga like the one you made for Chainsaw Man? Yes. And in fact, there's a very long draft of it, but there was the next video after Chainsaw Man was going to be a Berserk video, and then the video after that was going to be a Vinland Saga video. But and again, like there's a ton of notes and stuff for both of those, but the Manga Morj channel had to be axed or at least put on long indefinite hold for time. Maybe once One Piece ends, we never know. All right. Let's talk about series I don't know anything about. How was Black Clover this year? I know that Black Clover shifted to like a monthly format or something like that, which is very surprising to me because, I mean, I like the art of Black Clover enough. It's in its final arc. Stop calling Twitter X, it's cringe. Dude, I think I've started taking to just subconsciously calling it that because you just see the X symbol a lot. You just see it, and it's just what you click on, what you open up. I don't know. Dogs and Doors merch would go hard. B for Black Clover. I feel like Black Clover is a solid B series. One thing I really liked about Black Clover, like genuinely really like. So like, there's a lot of new age manga obviously out. You can see many of it here, like a lot of it here. I think in the softest way. So here's my soft little baby pitch for Black Clover, right? Because it's really not great. It like has, it's too shonen-y, cheesy, and kind of cliche in too many areas. But there was one thing that I didn't even realize I wanted to see again for the longest time, and that was kind of the main cast of Black Clover. It's the squad. It's called the Black Bull Squad. So there's an arc in early Black Clover called the Water Dungeon arc or the Water Temple arc. Yeah, I know, Zelda-esque title or something. water temple arc or something, right? And by the end of that arc, I think what I realized I enjoyed was that in the small, like, it was the closest imitation I'd ever felt in a long time to getting to see, like, the Straw Hat Pirates as, like, a gang of characters that all have their own characterization decently done well. And, like, you know, just a feel-good gang of characters that are all, like a family, basically. And they all go through an arc where they get their fights and their moments and everything like that. It just doesn't, I don't feel like, I didn't realize I needed to see that again in some other series, because I don't know, I feel like the Straw Hats in One Piece have been sidelined for so long. So it's kind of like a little type of story that I feel like has been missing for me for like years. And I didn't even realize I wanted to see it again till I saw it again in like Black Clover. So it's just that sort of feel again. Like the Black Bulls are written like a variation of the Straw Hat Pirates. Obviously, the Straw Hats in One Piece is a much better series, etc. But you know, I just don't really get that out of like any like Jujutsu Kaisen. Fuck no. Like My Hero, no. Undead Unluck, no. Like you have characters that are close in these series, but you know what I mean? Like it's just like the Black Bulls as a gang. They feel very, very much like a family. Their interactions feel like a family. They're written basically like a family that's come together. And then he does do a really good job of writing arcs where characters aren't forgotten. So everybody in the Black Bulls will get their moment of character stuff or whatever, their highlight scene. At least he used to. I don't really know what's going on right now. But it's a lot cheesier and dumber than something like One Piece. Like there's no comparison there. I'm just saying I'm surprised that you don't have other versions of characters like the Straw Hat Pirates in other shonen series. And I think it's partly because writing a large group like that takes a lot more effort to do individual characterization for each of them. But Black Clover put in the work. Like there's arcs or mini arcs devoted to each of the Black Bulls characters to some degree, that they're all fleshed out characters at the very least, even if the writing's nowhere close to what One Piece is. But you know, it's easier to write a series like Undead Unluck or Jujutsu Kaisen, where it's just like a few characters that you really need to focus on. Anyway, let's keep moving. Jujutsu Kaisen, I think this goes in S, right? It was the most talked about series of this year, I think. One Piece got it, but not just because of the manga. I think One Piece is probably the most talked about because of a myriad of things, like the anime, plus although Jujutsu Kaisen also got its anime. But I'm talking about just the manga events of Jujutsu Kaisen was probably the most talked about event of the year manga-wise. Obviously, One Piece with the Kuma things and like Egghead Island, like it had like a shit ton of great moments and stuff and like scenes. But I think it's hard to deny that this kind of became a viral event, what happened in Jujutsu Kaisen this year, where even people who didn't fucking know anything about the series were just, like, they knew what happened. I think it's just hard to deny that for this year, right? And I think that's probably we probably just saw the peak of the series. Like, the series essentially blew its load. Like, this was Jujutsu Kaisen basically shooting its shot, right? There's one event that had been hyped up for the entirety of the story. It's largely the event that probably fueled a lot of the fandom discussions leading up to this year. And it finally happened, and the author went all out on it, and there was a lot of discussion, shit ton of memes, shit ton of debate, sides, internet wars, etc. over this. I don't think you can keep Jujutsu Kaisen out of S tier. Was it as good as Egghead? I think Egghead's phenomenal. I also didn't read any chapters of Jujutsu Kaisen outside of that event. So it depends, like, do I think the character writing was as good as, like, Kuma's backstory? No. Emotionally, was it good as Kuma's backstory? No. We don't have to compare. I think it's apples and oranges here, because it's like you're valuing different things at a certain, like, the impact that Jujutsu Kaisen had and kind of what it did. I think what it did as a manga to generate this much discussion, like virality, you know, I think it did something which is really hard to do as a manga. It like broke the internet as a manga with its event. So I think you kind of got to give credit to it to that, because I just don't know if we're ever going to get another. I can't recall at any point in me being like in this sphere, there being a fight, a single fight happening in a manga, not in an anime, but in a manga that generated this level of just like focus and attention and discussion. So it probably did something more impressive in terms of what it achieved outside story. One Piece is, in my opinion, better writing. So it depends what you want to say there. But yeah, this is pretty much the best Jujutsu Kaisen will ever be. I don't think that, or like, not even the best. This is the most important moment of the series will ever have. And I think it's time the spotlight kind of fades after this, because it's just like, it did the thing that we all wanted it to do. Now, nobody really cares about the rest of it, right? It's just not that kind of a series. So, yeah, I think it blew its load. This was its big moment in the spotlight. So I would put it in the same tier as One Piece, and then whichever you think is better, that's up for debate. We could maybe debate it later, but this is a One Piece stream, so we're all gonna vote One Piece, right? All right, Blue Lock. Someone talk to me about Blue Lock. What's going on? Breezy2X says we will never see another heavyweight matchup as hype as that. Yeah, it's like, you can shit on it for, oh, it's just hype, but it's like, hype is also important, right? Like, it matters. Marineford, you know, it's an amazing arc, largely because of it's a culmination of many aspects of storytelling. Obviously, the actual writing, dramatic character writing with Ace's death, Whitebeard, what it meant for Luffy, etc., was huge. But the biggest thing that kind of was the main draw of Marineford and got everybody talking in the first place was just the hype that was generated around it, which was not precedented in manga before. Like a sort of huge manga war that was set up like that. It just hadn't really happened in the medium yet. So there's something to be said about that. I think there's something to be said about what Jujutsu Kaisen did here as well. Okay, someone explain to me about this. About Blue Lock. What's going on with Blue Lock? Blue Lock is A. Did it end? Is the series over? Is the series over? D, A? Are we voting for Blue Lock? I'm not putting in an S. Don't know anything about. Well, I guess that's not an excuse, right? Because what if it is S? Blue Lock, A, B. I just won't give it the option just yet. C, D. And let's get the stream likes up to 300 real quick. Oh, this is tight. So here's the way it works. If A does not get 50% of the votes, A needs 50%, otherwise it'll be moved to B. Because you guys understand the way that voting works, right? Like, if it's, like, it means if the majority of people don't think it should be an A, then it's not going to be an A, right? It's not just which column is the highest. So if it makes it to 50%, it's A. If it's less than 50%, we're dropping it to B. Give it an S option? People don't even know if it's supposed to be A. How am I supposed to give it an S option? Alright, it's going in B. Someone explain to me what happened. What's going on in Blue Lock? Like a vague explanation, not too many. I'm never gonna. Nah, fuck it. I'm never gonna. Don't explain because you're gonna spoil other people in chat. Some people who actually might want to read Blue Lock. I'm not probably ever gonna try that series. Because as you guys know, if I were to say sports series that I might at some point try, Blue Lock is not high up that list. Like Haikyuu, I would try. Slam Dunk. Hajime no Ippo, is that a sports series, I guess? Yeah. I'd probably put it, I'd watch, or I'd read Hajime no Ippo before. Probably Haikyuu, Hajime no Ippo. Maybe even Ashita no Joe. The other boxing one. Then aren't there like 2 basketball ones? There's like Slam Dunk and basketball manga. Let's see. Oh my god, there's 10 basketball manga? The 10 best basketball anime and manga ranked? Someone tell me if is this list accurate? Oh, I have to turn off ad block. I don't want to turn off ad block. I'll continue for now. All right. The 10 Power Girls Got Games. That's number 10. All right. The fuck is this? Don't know. Basquash? How are there 10 basketball anime and manga? This is crazy. I think I've heard of this one. Harlem Beat. Real. I thought Real was considered really good. Why is it at number 6? These articles are always so stupid. I love these articles are always written by people that like definitely are just, I don't know, like they have not read or watched the series themselves. They're probably just like looking up some random comments or like just checking popularity in some places. Isn't this one a wheelchair one? Yeah, wheelchair one. Okay. Dead Boys, Buzzer Beater. Why does it say 56%? Does that mean like 56% think it's good? What does this mean? Why is it at number 4 then? Hiru no Sora. Okay, this is the other one I was thinking of. Slam Dunk and Kuroko no Basket. That's the other one I was trying to think of. I was like, I know there's another one. All right, what's better, Slam Dunk or Kuroko no Basket? How do I pronounce Real? Is it just supposed to be pronounced real? Isn't that kind of dumb? I feel like it should be pronounced Real, right? Like it's a name, you know? Is it actually just the word real? Isn't that kind of a dumb name? Okay. Moving on. We gotta get through this. Okay. Berserk is going in D tier. I have not read a single chapter of Berserk this year, but I read the first couple chapters when the new series came out last year, and it is safe to say that Berserk will forever be in D tier from here on. Because every single new chapter of Berserk that comes out just shits all over the beautiful legacy that Miura was crafting. It would be better. No, they should finish it out just so we know what the story would have been for the general beats. But every single chapter basically spits on the grave of Miura. Okay, I did do something on. Okay, let me do this. Okay, okay. Only people who have read Blue Lock this year. I fucked up. Only vote if you've read Blue Lock this year. Only vote if you've read Blue Lock this year, because otherwise people are just voting on their general opinions. I'm taking Blue Lock out of B tier. I feel like a lot of people voted against it just because they don't want it to be in S tier. That doesn't seem fair. This doesn't seem fair. I feel like people are voting who have not read Blue Lock this year. I think we still got some cheaters. All right, if you are voting Blue Lock for B tier or below, please post a comment without spoilers in chat explaining what you did not like about Blue Lock this year. Without spoilers. Something like, if I were to say something like One Piece, I would just say, like, I think it's S tier because it had featured a phenomenal backstory, really great character writing, and a lot of hype plot and lore moments. It's a battle shonen acting like a sports manga, just not for me, says Isaiah. This is kind of like Prince of Tennis. I assume it's got to be better than Prince of Tennis. Yeah, people will vote regardless unless you do another haven't read. You're right. I should do a haven't. Okay, let's do one more time. I'm gonna go ahead and put an A. How about that? I'll put it in A. This is the problem with me not having read most of these manga. I can't rely on you guys. You guys are unreliable. I guess it would really be me who's unreliable because I should have read all of these before doing a stream about it. But I feel like you guys should carry at least some of the burden. Alright. Let's move on. My Hero. Okay, My Hero I'm interested in because I know that it's in its final moments. And I feel like people aren't really at least for whatever reason, I'm not seeing much discussion about it on anywhere. Like, to be fair, Twitter is the only social media that I really use, but I'm just not really seeing much talk about it. I know some people don't like it, but I would have assumed that a manga as big as My Hero that at one point was as popular as it was, I thought it would be just talked about more. Shouldn't even include Ippo on the list. Why? Okay. I guess we do another poll, but the polls are hard because it's just I don't know what to even believe at this point. My Hero Academia. Okay, let's say S.A. I know it's at its conclusion. Is it a good conclusion right now? Bad conclusion? What's going on? Ending too suddenly? Hasn't it been in a war arc for like a bit? I'm just going to do S.A.B. I'm going to leave out C. And if we get overwhelming votes for like B, then we'll consider voting C. Alright? Wait. Hold on. Let me make this very specific. Very specific. Okay. My Hero. S.A.B. And then haven't read this year. Haven't read this year. 2023. Alright? So I don't care if you read it 4 years ago and you didn't like it then. You can't vote for it now. Okay, a lot of well, no, okay. Okay, so people, I don't believe that 36% of you, well, I guess a lot of people just are abstaining from voting. Okay, it's looking like B, but now we have to throw in the option of C because so many people voted B. So let's do that. All right. Villain was underwhelming. I started to, you know, when the villain with the hands, Shigaraki, I liked his backstory. I thought his backstory was good. I don't know how, like, I generally don't think I want a sympathetic villain. I mean, some level, it varies. Like, I think in some contexts I enjoy it, some contexts I don't. It's hard to explain. It would be a more case by case basis. All right, BC. I'm still gonna say haven't read. I guess I should add an option D, right? Oh, people didn't like All for One. All for One just seemed, how much of a big deal is he even at this point? I thought that he would have been, I don't know, I guess I'm surprised that they're both still just playing a huge role. Okay. So it's okay, so it seems like B is where it's comfortably ending up at. Alright. We could do that. I mean, B's not bad, right? B's okay. Kagurabachi. Okay, I want honest opinions here, because I'm probably just going to put it in, like, C or D. But has Kagurabachi picked up since its first chapter? I've only read the first chapter. I didn't think the first chapter was, good. but I didn't think it was. I also think the first chapters of most series, like, how many series have a good first chapter? Attack on Titan. Actually, I think Naruto's first chapter is good. I also think Bleach's first chapter was kind of good. One Piece's first chapter, it's really, really great in hindsight. It's a weirdly paced. It's a the dialogue feels very, very like a 6-year-old wrote it throughout the first chapter at first read. I don't know. Oda got way better writing just normal dialogue over the course of East Blue. Did it get better? Did it get better? Unironically, yes. Legit 8 for me, not gonna lie. People like it now. Interesting. In all seriousness, it's an A. Interesting. I'll throw Kagurabachi into A just because I think it's funny that it's now being considered not bad. Okay, yeah, we'll put it in A. All right, Kagurabachi made its way up to A now. All right, good to know. That's pretty funny. Okay. It never got better. So it's either B or, okay, what's its strengths? Can somebody explain to me, like, people were saying it got better. How did it get better? You're saying it's one tier off from where One Piece and Jujutsu Kaisen were this year. Vote on Jujutsu Kaisen? No, I'm not going to vote on, because I think people are going to vote against Jujutsu Kaisen just because you kind of want to go against it. Like, Jujutsu Kaisen got so much hype this year and so much, all that. Like, I think people will want to vote against it to kind of knock it down a peg. I personally get the sense that that's where certain people are coming from. I think that that's pretty unfair because when a series accomplishes, when a series has an event that is very clearly pulling off something that has never really been done in manga before, in a good way, right? Like, it got a lot of eyes on the series, got a lot of people talking, generated a lot of hype, a lot of excitement, just had people glued to the series who otherwise wouldn't be glued to the series. There's no real way you can spin that as being anything less than you can't really just write that off and be like, oh well, it doesn't have the depth that certain other series have, or it's like, no, it doesn't, but it did something that you can't really deny was really exceptional, right? So it belongs in S. Again, I think people will want to vote against it just to knock it down a peg, but it's like, I don't know how you can have been around for that event and not at least tip your hat and be like, okay, even if I didn't like how it ended or something like that, the event as a whole definitely, if you were tuning into Jujutsu Kaisen, let me put it this way. If you are not a regular Jujutsu Kaisen reader, but you were tuning in at least once in a while to read chapters of it just to see what was going on, or you were at least keeping up, or you were at least interested in who won and kind of how things played out, then you can't argue against it being S. Because other series don't do that. No one's tuning in to find out, if Asta beat the new devil that showed up or something like that. It's doing something that no other series has really done, right? So it succeeded in that light, whether you like it or not. Flawless AJ says anyone saying it is an S is just hating. Yeah, that's the thing. If you're not a regular reader of it, but you were actually tuning in, or at least somewhat interested, or wanted to find out what's going to happen, or keeping updates on generally how things are going, or you cared about the ending, etc., or you had opinions on the ending, then like, too bad. It you can't deny that it basically broke some new ground in terms of what manga can do. It doesn't matter if you're not a fan of the series overall. Um, Moving on from that, Jujutsu Kaisen's staying in S. It's staying in S. There's no question about that. Because if Jujutsu Kaisen's not S, it's just like, then we don't really have a S tier. It's just not a thing. Undead Unluck. So I'm not up to date on this either. I got decently far in the manga though. I don't know how it's going right now. Ditch says breaking the internet doesn't make it S. Dude, then there's nothing that makes S. There's nothing that makes S then. I literally don't know what to say. What do you... if the bar is basically like, okay, it doesn't matter if it's like the most exciting manga event to happen since like the Marineford War. If that doesn't make it S, then what the fuck is S? Like, I genuinely don't know what to say. Yeah, you can not like the character writing. S tier doesn't mean perfect character writing or the best character writing. For One Piece, that's why it's an S, right? The character writing. But again, most exciting manga event that I can recall in like a decade, that puts it in S. There's nothing to debate here. This is why you guys don't get to vote on Jujutsu Kaisen, all right? This is why you guys don't get to vote on it. I'm not even like a Jujutsu... I have not seen the second season. I've not read the entire arc. Like, I only tuned in to read that fight. I didn't even really like... I thought the ending was somewhat anticlimactic, but you can't deny the effect that it had and what like... I was reading, I was like, okay, no manga's ever really pulled off anything like this. It's an S. Series can be an S for different reasons. This is a valid reason. Most exciting manga event that's crossed manga boundaries in... I don't know fucking how long. I really don't. That's an S tier. There's no debate about it. You are a hater if you're trying to argue that does not make it S tier. I don't even know what to say. Okay, we're gonna move on. All right, Undead Unluck. Someone explain here. Someone explain to me. A? S? A or S? D? D? Okay, we got some wild opinions here. Wildly varying opinions here. Okay, I need someone breaking down kind of. People are just putting letters. What's the, like, how is Undead Unluck going right now? Like, is it close to its end? Is it kind of like is breaking new ground? Like, is the series improving? What's going on? Uh, okay, I don't see any consistency here. All right, let me see. All right. Um. Okay. Undead Unluck. We're gonna do for just 2023. S-A-B. We'll start with this. Haven't read it this year. Okay, most people do not read Undead Unluck. But I'm glad that most people are being honest. Glad that people are being honest here. Okay, it seems like people have a very high opinion of the series, actually. I really enjoyed Undead Unluck while I was reading it. I took a break and then never picked it back up. So I could believe that it's still getting better and better. But yeah. How's the anime, by the way? How's the anime been for Undead Unluck? Because I want to watch that as well. I'll put it in A. I'll put it in A. Vinland Saga. I don't know. Okay, somebody tell me, is the anime worth watching for Undead Unluck? We too busy reading Kagurabachi. I can drive. Thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 9 months. Haven't tuned in for a while, so glad to be back. You gotta include Sakamoto Days. It's an insanely fun series to read. I was told that this is Sakamoto Days. I can't actually confirm because I haven't read it, but I was told that this is what it is. People don't like Vinland? I think Vinland has been bad since chapter 100. Since the end of season 2 in the anime for you anime viewers. I'm down to vote though. My normie friend didn't like the anime. Some moments are 10, some are 6, but I enjoy it. Alright, let's do Vinland. I'm biased. I'm not going to give Vinland an S option. I will do it if everyone votes A. Haven't read it this year. 2023. Okay. We're getting some decent votes for... I think we got to put an S option. But I feel like it shouldn't be an S. You know what? Dictator move. I'm keeping it an A. I don't think Vinland Saga can be an S. I'll do the vote just to see. I just can't imagine. The drop off for it was so absurdly bad. I can't imagine it getting back to S tier. Okay, looks like we're gonna keep it in A. Looks like A is about right. Yeah, A is about right. Okay, Vinland stays here. All right, everyone's favorite. Where are we putting Boruto? What are we doing with Boruto? What to do with Boruto? Was this? I feel like Boruto did that pretty drastic thing this year, where it was like it swapped. Well, it doesn't matter. It had its time skip. And, like, it did have some crazy shit happen to its main character, technically speaking. But I just don't know if anybody wants to put it anywhere above D. B, C? I'm going to go ahead and put Boruto in C. Because I feel like everyone just doesn't like Boruto because it's Boruto. But I feel like it's I feel like nothing belongs in D. No, obviously Berserk does, but that's just because it's ruining the series actively. Should I just put Boruto in D? Just put it in D? But then what's going in C? What are we doing with C tier? I don't even know what happens in C tier. Okay, let's just do a vote for C or D. I don't care. I just want us to have some stuff in C tier. One Punch Man will be in C, I guarantee that. One Punch Man, I don't really know what's happened in One Punch Man this year. Like, I'm up to date on the webcomic. I've gone and read the webcomic. I feel like, did Saitama versus, did the big fight happen last year? I feel like it resolved last year. I might be crazy. I feel like it resolved last year. Damn, Boruto's damn tight for C versus D. All right, I'll give it 10 more seconds. Oh, it's real tight. It's real tight. Oh man, it's tight. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holy shit. What won? I can't. I doesn't. I don't know what. Okay, we got to do it again. I thought that the poll would tell me what won at the end or something. It's this. What the fuck? All right, we got to do it again. We have to do it again. We got to do it again. We're doing it again. All right. Why are we voting for trash? Why are we voting for how bad it is? This is okay. All right. Everybody, no, do not vote if you have not read it. All right? So I don't want to see an increase in number of people who are voting. It should I don't know how to properly explain this to you guys. Just be honest and vote, all right? Don't vote D just because you think it's funny if you haven't read it, all right? But at the same time, like, don't let what I'm saying stop the hate in your heart if you have read. Okay, my question is are this many people actually reading Boruto this year? Because I really don't believe you. I don't believe that this many people read Boruto this year. Because you're telling me that, okay, so if we take out the percentage that haven't read this year, you're telling me that basically around 20% of chat right now are active Boruto viewers. Is that what you're telling me? I like Boruto readers. I don't know if I believe that. So keep that in mind. I will judge that. All right, we're gonna end it here, just because I kind of made up my mind partway through. I was like, wait, there's no way that this many people are Boruto readers, which means that some percentage of people are voting D just to bring it down. No, I believe a lot of you are, but I also believe that a lot of you are voting D just because you've read some of the manga, and therefore you dislike the manga, and so you will vote a D regardless. I believe that there is some percentage of that. I think it is more likely that there are people who are doing that than the number of people who have not read it but are just voting C regardless. I think that that's unlikely. There might be some people who haven't read it and are voting C for no reason, but I think that number would be fewer than the people who have not read it this year and are voting D just because they dislike it generally. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to keep it here. Also, it just keeps a sort of flow to the entire tier list, and you need a flow. I've made many a tier list at this point, and one thing I can tell you is that you do need something in every tier. Otherwise, you've probably done something wrong. Okay. Let's move it along. Kingdom. How's Kingdom doing right now? I feel like I don't hear a lot of discussion about Kingdom for some reason. Like, people tell me to read it still, but I just don't see... You know, like, I just feel like there's not a lot of talk about what's going on in Kingdom these days. You know? There was a period of time where I feel like Kingdom was a lot more talked about. I'm not disrespecting Berserk. The current author is disrespecting Berserk. If I'm being honest, nothing will probably end up in this tier. It will probably just be Berserk. Kingdom's been great. Mid, A, no idea. This year, B or C. Oof says because no one reads it since Kagurabachi came out. It's not a Western community series. I could definitely see that because it is genuinely just keeping track of the names in Kingdom is trickier than you might expect, and it feels very, very, very Chinese. It's hard to explain. Like, it just feels very, very, very Eastern in terms of, like, one thing I always liked about One Piece is that you don't even realize that it's like a. When I was a kid, it just seemed like another cartoon to me that had higher level effort put into it and more drawn out episodes and like a different style of animation. But I was never reading it thinking like to me, these were like white people basically. Like, it seemed like the same as all the other Cartoon Network shows I was watching in terms of its demographic. Like, I didn't realize that I'm watching some Japanese series necessarily. Paul Martin, thanks for the 2. Boruto greater than My Hero this year, not really close either. The poll speaks for itself, man. I can't argue against the poll. I mean, I have argued against the poll multiple times, but in this case, I don't feel like it. Kakashi Snitch 9, thanks for the 5. Do you think Chainsaw Man has reached its peak yet in storytelling, Morj? I really don't know, man, because the author, there's 2 ways that this goes, which is like, one, I feel like one thing I really liked about Chainsaw Man is that it felt like from part 1, he did have a long-term vision for the story clearly planned. Just based on the things that happened in part 1, it was clear that we're just dipping our toes into what it's all about. But I feel like I feel like part 1, the way it was constructed was the entire thing was build up to certain key character moments and revelations, and it was very tightly character focused for the sort of spiral that things went down by the end, right? I don't know if part 2 has done that as tightly at this point, which is a shame because I really, really felt like it had hit a new level in the early parts of part 2 where it was even better, more focused character writing, and then something just happened in the last 20 or so chapters where it's just like, and everything feels a little bit surface level and just moving things along, and things don't feel like they have as much impact. I don't know. I gotta wait, give it a binge. I don't know. I feel like the potential is there for it to hit its peak storytelling much later. For example, I feel like... No, I can't say that as a spoiler. I feel like where it could go as a series could hit its peak much later. Not much later, but like, if this is part 2, maybe in part 3 or something like that. But I feel like what it was doing character-wise, it might not be able to match that in part 2 the way it hit in part 1. So I don't know. It's tough. I'm going to rank Chainsaw Man right away. I'll say Chainsaw Man so far has been... The thing is, I haven't read anything in A, so I don't even know how to compare it. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's a B, but then people are saying that these series are bad. And I don't know if Chainsaw Man Part 2 has been bad this year. I think it's just been alright. I don't even know what to say. Like, I can't compare. I'll put it in A. I'll put it in A or maybe B. Like, I'm sure it's better than Black Clover this year and probably better than My Hero this year. But I don't even know. Like, I feel like A is saying that it's good, and I don't think it's been good this year. Like, people think Blue Lock was good this year, right? People think Kagurabachi was good this year. People think Undead Unluck was good this year. It seems people think Vinland Saga was good this year. I think Chainsaw Man's been fine this year. B is alright. I think Chainsaw Man's been okay this year. I did not read the most recent chapter, I don't think. Angel X with a One Piece related comment. Blackbeard will eat both the brain and the light fruit. I don't think that's happening. But Blackbeard eating the brain fruit would be crazy. That'd be so interesting. Another character eating the brain fruit. Imagine big brain Blackbeard. He's already one of the smarter characters in the story. The light fruit would be, I don't know. I don't know about that. I Can Drive says, I think the writing compared to part one is much looser. That's a good way to put it. It felt very tight for the beginning of part two. Then it's become a lot looser in the middle section. It feels like we're in the middle section. And so now I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to care as much when we reach the climax. So even if it's in the setup phase, I'm like, part one setup phase felt very, very nice, slow burn, really taking its time getting us there and then slowly ramping and ramping and ramping, which is why I always feel like the closing segments of Chainsaw Man Part 1, it's a roller coaster plot-wise, emotions-wise. It's so much fun to read, and it flies by really fast, so it's like a breakneck speed of just taking the reader in one direction and then another and then another and then another. I don't know if I'm going to get the same feeling in Part 2. I just don't know if it feels like he got a little looser with the setup as time went on. Martin Castro, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morj, can you do Pokemon Adventures next? I gotta go soon and I want to hear you talk about it. My vote is for Ace. Surprisingly simple but effective. Martin Castro, I don't think that you are an actual Pokemon Adventures fan, because I think any actual fan that's been keeping up with it this year would know that it belongs in S. So, don't really know what to say, man. If you're pretending to be a Pokemon Adventures fan, that's one thing, but I got it right here where it belongs. Yeah, I got Chainsaw Man in B for this year. This one, I know the series, so like I read it this year, so I think I can put it in B. Remix King says no, he's right. God damn it! All right, Remix King made the tier list, so we unfortunately have to read out his entire argument for where Pokemon Adventures should land. This year for Pokemon Adventures was great, all things considered. As I agree, I put it in S tier. The year started, depending on which serialization you follow. I follow the Shonen Jump serialization, of course, with the conclusion of the Sword and Shield arc, just like the game. The final battle held up to the hype that was set up throughout the arc. I agree. The legendary Pokemon were amazing and charming and unique. Yeah. Henry, Sword, and Casey, Shield. These are characters, of course, were well-written characters, and I personally enjoyed how their story arcs concluded. Henry has, not the popular opinion, yeah, we're getting controversial here, become my second favorite main male lead, right after Red, of course. Red will always be number one. With the poor and infrequent scheduling, the Scarlet and Violet arc suffered in pacing and some on the art and paneling. I remember this, yeah, the pacing and the art and the paneling. Do you remember that one? The paneling in that section was messy. However, the story, just like the games, has taken a different approach to usual linear progression, and that is my favorite aspect of this whole thing that you're talking about. I can't perfectly pin down my opinions on the story based on how much we've gotten so far. Same. That's where I'm at right now. I just can't. I'm trying to put a pin on it, how I feel, and I just can't place this damn pin. But everything seems to be pointing in a positive direction. Yes. Overall, I would like to see it in the middle of A to the top of A. The tiers are not ranked. Everything is just in the same tier. But it would be funny if for the memes you put it in S. And so I guess we're on the same page. It's not for the memes though. I truly believe that this belongs in S tier due to all of the reasons that you said. Every single the art and the paneling. No, those were bad. The Scarlet and Violet was bad. The Sword and the Shield and the second best main male lead. Those were the highlights of the Pokemon Adventures. And then the final battle and the legendary Pokemon. These are the reasons that we were keeping it in S. So I appreciate the write-up, but I did not need it at all because I knew exactly where it belonged. All right. Let's move it along. I Can Drive says Gold is the best protagonist. You can't just throw out colors and assume that they're actual Pokemon Adventures characters. I used to do that, and it turned out that I was frequently wrong. So, nice try, man. You're not a real Pokemon Adventures fan. All right, Kingdom. Where are we putting Kingdom? I think we got stuck here. Never mind. Remix King confirmed that Gold is a real character, so you passed my little test there. All right, where are we putting Kingdom? Where are we putting Kingdom? Kingdom, I don't know. I assume Kingdom's probably still pretty good, right? SAB. Haven't read this year. I do think people are being honest here because you do see stuff like Kingdom gets fewer votes than like Boruto because Kingdom likely has fewer readers and such. I feel like people are being somewhat honest here. Like this reflects the amount of people that I would assume read Kingdom. It seems like Kingdom had an A year. That makes sense. A might be creeping up on S. All right, we'll put an A. We'll put an A. All right. Justin Holland, what's up, man? Thanks for the 5. Remember when One Piece was seen as a simple hunt for the greatest treasure in the world before it was revealed that it was never that simple? Dude, one of the things that frustrated me the most back in the day would be like I would mention something like once in a while if I mentioned One Piece and the other person happened to be like an anime fan or reviewer or something, it'd be like, the joke was like, not even the joke, like people genuinely had this question like, oh, so are they still looking for the treasure? Have they found that treasure yet? Like, have they found the One Piece yet? Like, just this, it's so hard to explain because it's like, you don't get it, like, from their perspective, and it's understandable. Like, oh, One Piece, that series that's been going on, if you know nothing about it, right? One Piece, that series that's been going on for, like, 20 years and, like, 1,000 episodes, and all it's about is finding that treasure. So it's like, you kind of assume from the outside looking in that it's probably a really haphazard story that's just like some never-ending bullshit without a real plan, and it's like they're not actually supposed to find this treasure or something. Like it's just this vague-ass adventure that they're going on. But then from our perspective, it's like, no, you don't understand. Like this is so fucking brilliantly plotted, and the treasure is going to be so much more impactful than anything we could have imagined earlier, and like this whole lore has been developed in this world, and everything's coming together to mean that the like, have they found the One Piece? Like, what kind of a question is that? Like, you don't even understand what the One Piece is. None of us understand what the One Piece is, but we understand that it's a much bigger deal than you think it is. Like you can't just find the One Piece. You think they just travel to an island and find the One Piece? No, finding the One Piece is like, it's complicated as fuck. It's in our heads. It's so obvious that no, of course they haven't found the fucking One Piece yet. You know how insane it would be if they found the One Piece, and then for outside people, it's like, they just. What have they been doing around, like, fucking around for, like, 20 years and not finding the One Piece? Doesn't make any sense. All right. Anyway, Javon Johnson, thanks for being a Pirate King to your member for 4 months. Hey, Morj, do you think that One Piece within the... do you think we find the One Piece within the next 100 chapters? That's funny off of the back of the last thing I just talked about. Also, been doing a reread of Post Time Skip. Just finished Whole Cake, and my god, it was masterful. It's top 5 in the story for me. Whole Cake before Egghead was my favorite post-time skip arc for sure. It's just the most focused on, for me, it's the most focused on the things that I really enjoyed about the series before, which is like the actual main characters and what they're going through and kind of the emotional trials and tribulations that they experience over the course of it. It just felt like, it felt old school in the sense that, you know, they land on Dressrosa and they've got this elaborate plan and stuff like that, but in Whole Cake Island, they venture into this very fantastical island, still the most fantastical post-time skip. They're slowly going from like Little Island till eventually get to Whole Cake. The plot's kind of building. Then they set off into this great unknown. It's more adventurous, and then eventually they start facing their challenges, and then they go through the emotional ringer, and then you get big plot twists, and like things are very serious for a bit, and the Strats are all in like flux, and then they come out of it. Then they have this big tea party event, and then there's this crazy long battle to cap the whole thing off. And Whole Cake definitely has its flaws. I do agree that the entire ending section and the long chase and everything, I feel like it would have been, it's so complicated because like the arc kind of feels like it hit a perfect resolution around the time that they got away from the tea party, right? Many people, if you were in the community back then, most everyone thought that the arc was over and it was a satisfying arc and it's time to leave. It became a more polarizing arc once we hit the long drawn out ending where this chase, Big Mom talking about the wedding cake, Sanji cooking, like a lot of things like storylines going on. But at the same time, it has Luffy versus Katakuri, which for many people is also the highlight of the arc. So that's kind of what makes Whole Cake Island a hard arc to to pin down, because I do feel like story structure wise, it just has a whole, like, you would almost call it like a fourth act that wasn't maybe really, it didn't feel necessary initially, but then once the entire act is over, you understand why it was important for, like, the characters involved, Sanji, Pudding, even Luffy. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it feels very, it's like it was necessary for some of the themes and ideas of the arc and the character writing, but at the same time tacked on plot wise. So it's a little hard for me to place that whole arc. It's a very unique storyline, that's for sure. Yeah, and it's like the best stuff, Luffy versus Katakuri, was also in the section that was the most controversial and the most necessary writing stuff, which was like Sanji's writing, Pudding, even Katakuri's writing, etc. That was also in that section. That was also still the most controversial for the other reasons, like the pacing and feeling tacked on. So it's a hard arc to pin down, but I respect anyone who has Whole Cake, like I respect the opinion of having it really, really high. Do I think we find the One Piece in the next 100 chapters? 100 is tight. I feel like we're in Egghead for like 5 to 10 more at least. Then Elbaf for like 50. You know what? I don't think it'd be crazy if we did find the One Piece, or at least hit Laugh Tale in the next 100 chapters. I think that's doable. I do think that's doable. I think we honestly should find the One Piece in the next 100 chapters, because, like, otherwise, when does the story end? John678 says, what's the cringiest moment that's happened in One Piece? I maintain it's the Sanji nosebleed scene, personally. Floratile says, Whole Cake Island is a very A-tier arc. Luffy versus Katakuri, the best post-fight, post-time skip. Yeah, if we were to do a One Piece arc tier list, I feel like A would be where I personally have Whole Cake Island. I think it's rough around the edges in a bit too many areas for me to put it in S personally for me. It also doesn't quite ever reach the emotional highs for me personally to put it in S, but I could see myself putting it in A. That's what fun. Let's do an arc tier list at some point. Have we already done that? Have we ever done an arc tier list? You guys are probably sick of tier lists. We'll do that one day. Arc tier list at some point. Let me check. Did I ever do an arc tier list? I did an arc tier list 2 years ago. Maybe one day, one more time. I mean, we've got more arcs since then. We've got Egghead. I could see myself putting Egghead in S. It depends on how tight I'd be with S. Like, if I'm like S, I'm only putting Marineford and Enies Lobby, then Egghead probably doesn't make it. I mean, by definition, like the example I just shared, like, it wouldn't make it. But if I'm like S includes Marineford, Enies Lobby, like, do I put Alabasta S? I probably put Alabasta. It's hard because I still to this day I put Marineford and Enies Lobby like a step above any other One Piece arc. To me, those just it doesn't feel right putting any other arc quite there with them. But there's so many One Piece arcs that are S, so maybe it's like Enies Lobby and Marineford are SS, and then you got so many. I'll figure it out later. All right, One Punch Man. I feel like, okay, can someone tell me, did Saitama versus, this isn't even a spoiler, right? Because it's been known for, everyone knows that Garo is the villain, right? Like, Garo's a character. Did Saitama versus Garo, this is not a spoiler. Like, Garo's been very clear that he's the villain of the story for some time, right? We all understand that Saitama versus Garo is a thing. Did Saitama versus Garo finish in the, like, in released manga chapters, not the volumes or whatever, did it finish in 2022 or 2023? It ended in 2022? Okay. Then I can't imagine putting, I feel like One Punch Man is probably just going to be in B, right? What's even happened in there? I kind of know what happened, like, Flashy Flash learns about this ninja dude. It's just random One Punch Man bullshit. Alright, moving on. Oh wait, I gotta check one thing. Let me see one thing real quick. Okay. I had groceries delivered. My car has a brake issue at the moment. Wait, any geniuses in chat want to? No, you. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. It's like I'm pretty sure I have to switch brake pads because there's a grinding noise anytime I press on the brakes. So I'm taking my car into the shop on Wednesday, which means I need stuff delivered at the moment. I'm gonna pick up my groceries from outside. I'll be back in. Do you guys want me to play the Jimmy Neutron video? I can do that for you. I'll be back in a second. No, I'm gonna go to the bathroom too. So maybe you guys do need the Jimmy Neutron video. Yeah, you guys need this.
Be patient. It won't be long now. You see, we're.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me check one thing. How do I make the video loop? You know what? I'll just take my break and I'll be back. Can't figure out how to make a loop. All right. Yeah, give me a second. All right. All right, let's get the stream likes up to 300 real quick. Okay. Where are we at? All right. Ippo, I don't know what to do with Ippo. Like, I really don't understand how many people are Ippo fans, because it's well talked about, but also like people speak highly of it, but also it's not like it's not talked about that much. You know what I mean? Like people who've read it really speak highly of it, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. I missed a super. One sec. I never miss supers. Manny, thanks for the 10. So going off what you said with Berserk and Hunter x Hunter, if Oda couldn't continue One Piece, God forbid, due to illness, death, etc., what do you think should/would happen with the manga? Do you think it'd be good? If Oda could not continue One Piece due to whatever reason, I personally, my guess is, I think that One Piece is probably one of the series that is best set up to still have a decently satisfying conclusion even without the author. Here is the reason why. Okay? I think that Oda has much more detailed. This is just the sense that I get, right? Like, the sense I've gotten from so many of Oda's interviews, the way he's done notes, shown notes and stuff in the past, apparently things that he's told editors, etc. I feel like Oda has a much more detailed outline of the conclusion of the story than most other mangaka do. Maybe more than any other long-running manga series, right? Especially compared to something like Hunter x Hunter's author was just talking about how he's like got like 3 different endings or whatever. It's like good, bad, whatever. Like Hunter x Hunter's author very clearly for the longest time didn't have, like, he's clearly got more of a plot that's been developing now since the Chimera Ant arc, but for a long time Hunter x Hunter was a very loose series without much of an overarching plot. Right? So if you're to compare it to that, I'm confident that Oda has much more detailed outlines. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, he has full books written for each, like, notebooks for each character, right? Like, we saw that on shelves, like, from interviews years ago, right? So I feel like he's an author that's best equipped to have a stockpile of notes and journals. I would not be surprised if he had the notes of pretty much all the significant beats of Kuma's backstory somewhere in existence already, right? So let's say hypothetically Oda for whatever reason had to stop the manga in 2022. I still personally believe that all of the major beats in 2023, like the Hachinosu raid, Shanks taking out Kid, the Reverie stuff with Imu destroying Leloucia, and Kuma's backstory, I think we would have still gotten all of those things, right? I also think it's possible that we might have been spared some of the weaker aspects that seem to me to be a bit more so like Oda indulging himself and his his fun off the cuff ideas, like Vegapunk having 6 bodies and we're gonna go on a little murder mystery thing for no real reason for like 5-10 chapters, you know? I imagine those things are not part of his like really important key long-term notes. I feel like a lot of the little stuff that kind of ends up making arcs bloated might be things that he didn't think of like well back. Like Kuma stuff, we know he's been planning this for so fucking long, right? He's been planning this since Thriller Bark, all of Kuma's actions, Saboti, etc. I think no matter what, he had a notebook probably somewhere that, again, this is so much speculation, so much just guessing, but just the way he talks as a writer, you've seen so many interviews of him, we see some behind the scenes stuff of his works. I feel like most of the big important stuff is thought out to some degree. So I feel like we would still, like, if Oda for whatever reason was not able to continue, I still think we would get to see all of the major stuff. And I feel like he's planned what the major backstory, like, I imagine there's a notebook that explains what Blackbeard's backstory is, just not the details of it, right? So I do think you could hand those sort of things to other mangaka that would then be able to execute it in their own style, and still, it wouldn't be like what One Piece is, like the way Oda writes, but it would still be probably pretty damn good in its own way, because it's really his ideas and his like broader ideas and concepts and like his broader ideas and story concepts, I think, are generally the best strength of One Piece, right? So as long as he's got a list of how all of the plot threads should go, and as long as he's got breakdowns of certain important dramatic things like backstories, etc., I think a lot of authors could pick up what Oda has done and fill in the gaps with their own style in a good way. Again, I look at like the Ace manga. If you go and read the Ace manga, it's phenomenal, and like a lot of the stuff is not stuff that Oda himself would necessarily do, or like you wouldn't necessarily see in the One Piece manga, but it's the One Piece ideas and like the ideas for what Ace is supposed to be and the stuff he was supposed to struggle with pulled from One Piece and then applied to this other storytelling, I guess, style. And it works really, really well. I think the Ace manga is phenomenal. I think it's got some of the best, like, the Ace looking up at Roger in the clouds panel is one of the best panels that's One Piece related in existence. You know what I mean? So I personally think that Oda's greatest strengths as a writer lend himself, like, he's told the editors the end of One Piece, all of this stuff. Like, I think his greatest strengths as the writer and the way that he works and the type of notebooks and stuff that he keeps, I think it lends itself best out of any of the major mangaka that I know that are long-running series writers to have somebody else complete it out. And this might be weird to say, but I think it could also avoid some of the pitfalls of some of the areas where he goes a bit too far, where he's like maybe adding in extra shit on the fly for no real reason, like extra characters or like random side shit that like other authors probably wouldn't be inclined to add that might accidentally bloat the story. So I don't know. That's just a thought there. I don't think that works for Hunter x Hunter for reasons I already explained. Berserk, it's like he told his friend the ending, but I doubt that he told his friend, like, I mean, even if he told his friend the ending and like key character bits that are supposed to happen, most of Berserk's strengths is like, or at least a lot of it is in like the subtleties and the nuance of how everything is like actually in the micro written, how the dialogue plays out, how the scene exactly plays out. So much of that is carried there, which I think is harder for somebody else to carry that same sort of mastery over that sort of writing and just show up and drop them in and be like, write a scene between Guts and Griffith or Guts and Casca or something like that is as, you know, well done as what was being done by Miura, you know? Anyway, let's move it along. Hajime no Ippo. Don't know anything about it. I mean, I know it's about boxing and shit, but like, let's move along. Kid Spiken says if Oda had to step away from Wano no Nigashima, it would have been a tighter story. So, for example, Oda's initial... Let's say Oda had not been able to write Wano for whatever reason. The initial manuscript that somebody would have been handed would have been 4 scabbards, because Oda initially planned 4 scabbards. It's just that as things went on, he liked the idea of 9 scabbards better, so we got fucking 9 scabbards. We did not need 9 scabbards. 4 would have been fine. Like, that's the kind of thing. Like, it's clear that he's got such a immaculate vision of all of the main story beats that he wants to hit and how these grand plot lines come together and where these characters go. But at the same time, he also is just filled with so much creativity and ideas that once he gets to individual things, he's like, let's just throw this shit in, or like, let's, like, won't they love this, or like this character, like this random shit, right? Like, it happens as it goes. So, you know, I think, you get the good with, like, no writer is perfect, so you get some strengths, some weaknesses, or whatever. All right. Mazim Eltom, thanks for the 5. I think Oda has the long-term story plan, but each arc/island, he just does whatever he thinks is cool. Yeah, like, I'm sure it's not like 15 years ago he's thinking, yeah, and then they get to the Vegapunk Island, and then, like, they have this murder mystery with exactly 6 Vegapunks, each representing this, this, and this, you know? But I do think that 15 years ago he did have Kuma's backstory and the truth about Kuma planned. I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that. So that's what I'm saying. I think the best ideas are things that he's been shaping for a long time, and maybe some of the iffy stuff that we maybe don't enjoy so much are things that are just like feel a little bit shoehorned in. All right, Hajime no Ippo. Don't know what to say about this. I'm just giving SAB because I know people think really highly of the series. Daniel Budzowski says, all the scabbards are likable in my opinion. Here's the thing. I agree. I liked each of the scabbards individually as characters. It's when you got the whole conglomerate. And, like, I think as... Like, I liked Nekomamushi and Inuarashi when we first met them. Kinemon I didn't like initially, but over time, I grew to like him quite a bit, actually. Um, Raizo is always neutral. Ashura Doji, I thought, was one of the most interesting characters in Wano in the early sections of Wano. It's just that as they slowly just became this ensemble group and kind of homogenized, over time, I feel like we just, or at least I, not we, but I stopped caring about them individually as characters too much because it just started to all just mesh together. It's just one big blob of characters that are crying at the same time, complaining at the same time. Basically, it just they start like I really was hoping that Odin's backstory would do a lot of groundwork for fleshing them out even more and making us care about them individually even more. But Odin's backstory actually did the opposite, where it just kind of like shoved them all together very quickly and was just like, this is the group, and it's just the group that follows Odin all around and loves him and stuff. And I just stopped caring about them individually too much after a while. But if you took them individually as characters and plucked them out, I'm like, yeah, I liked Kawamatsu's little story here with the fox. I thought that was actually one of Wano's better chapters. I liked Inuarashi and Nekamamushi in Zou. It's just once you're trying to do too much with, like, putting too many of them together to make me feel like emotional investment in them, that's when it kind of starts just becoming this vague ensemble that I don't really care for as much. Kinemon became my favorite of the scabbards by the end of Wano because Kinemon was the only scabbard over the course of the second half of Wano that kind of got elevated importance and treated as his own character going through his own journey, like from start to finish. Like they all got their little moments, but Kinemon was consistently like, it felt like Kinemon and the Scabbards, and Kinemon was consistently his own person, and I began to empathize with him more over the course of the arc. If he had, like, imagine if Kinemon had died instead of Ashura Doji. I feel like that would have been much more impactful. Oh, so people are not too hot on Hajime no Ippo. Alright, I'll go ahead and put in B. I have no say on Hajime no Ippo. I thought everyone was gonna vote S. I don't know. Alright. Now we're at a point where I don't know why Oshinoko is still here. Maybe I didn't say to remove that. I don't think I said to remove that. I'm not even gonna include this. I don't think Spy Family even falls into. I understand people probably watch the anime. Some people watch it, but I doubt people are up to date on the Spy Family manga. So we're just gonna rank these last ones. Anime Dimension, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 14 months. Mashal and Kaiju number 8. Kaiju number 8 should probably have been thrown in here. Mashal, I think, is still a bit too niche, even with its new anime, for that many people that have been fans of it. Okay, Dandadan, what are we doing? Can anyone explain to me what Dandadan is about? There's an anime of it coming, right? Auditia says, bruh, I only watched live for the Oshinoko ranking. Okay, I don't even know what that series is about. Say that I've been saying that a little bit throughout the stream, but people really like Dandadan. Easiest. Okay, I'm not seeing a single not S for Dandadan. I'm just gonna go ahead and put an S. This is crazy. I think this is the longest straight line of S's I've seen. Brandon King saying A, but I'm just gonna throw it in S. Peak New Gen? What's Dandadan about? Now I'm excited. What? Dandadan. What is Dandadan? When a boy into UFOs collides with a girl into ghosts, the universe will never be the same. For some reason, that sounds really, really lame and generic to me, but I know nothing about what it's actually written like. All I gotta say is, like, right off the bat, it's a concept that I don't care for at all. It seems like a kind of like, never mind. I won't say anything. Watch the trailer for it, bro. I saw the anime trailer. I just don't remember anything from it. I remember it was colorful. What? Not colorful. It had a really cool animation style, but I don't think I processed anything about what it seemed like the series was about. It's as bizarre as JoJo. Interesting. Don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, Chainsaw Man will make me never doubt that again, because I thought Chainsaw Man looked so dumb. Like, I mean, it's impossible for it not to look dumb. Like, Chainsaw Man just seemed like a stupid meme. Like, I would see the chapters coming out on whatever I was reading it on at the time. It was before TCB scans. Like, One Piece chapters would come out. Was it manga stream or something? Maybe it was manga stream days. I don't even remember when Chainsaw Man was coming out at this point. But it was coming out and just looked so dumb. It's just like, the main character looks dumb. The concept looks dumb. It's like, Chainsaw Man. This is the stupidest. It's just inherently stupid sounding, isn't it? Cannot believe it turned into one of my favorite series. Manifest Joe, thanks for the 2. S times F art is top tier and it's legit a fun read. What's S times F? Spy Family. No, I believe it's a fun read. I watched the first episode. Seems like a fun series. Just not my cup of tea that I would watch. I use that phrase a lot. I think it's the phrase I use when I don't want to offend anybody over tastes. But yeah, it's just not something that I think I would personally get super invested in. But you know, you never know. Because here's the thing. You know what game? Who wants to guess what game I'm playing right now? Take a guess what game I'm playing right now. What video game I just picked up this weekend. I needed a stress relief thing. Picked up this game just this weekend. Just this weekend. Yeah, man, he says terrible title, Chainsaw Man. Sounds like a shitty horror movie. It does, yeah. But it's so... It seems almost intentional. It's like... I mean, it does seem intentional. It's just like a shitty, stupid title. B-level horror movie title. And then the actual series is so much more than you expect. No, I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom. I picked up Tears of the Kingdom. I thought I wouldn't care for it because I'd never played Breath of the Wild. I wanted to play Breath of the Wild when it came out, but like the phase of my life I was at, I was not in the phase that I should be playing video games at all. Basically, like I was like, this is responsible mode time. Basically, I was like, that was the most grindy phase of my life, basically, period. Like, just having to do a bunch of, like, working all the time, trying a bunch of different shit just to make things work. So I was, like, in a place where I was like, nah, I'm not going to play Breath of the Wild. And I was like, eventually I'll play Breath of the Wild. Then eventually I was like, you know what, Breath of the Wild, like, also partly I knew it wasn't, like, I never felt like going back to play it because I knew that it was not traditional Zelda. And I was like, I don't know if I like an open world thing or whatever. And then I just picked up Tears of the Kingdom because from what I was reading online, it's like you could play Breath of the Wild and then you could play Tears of the Kingdom, but it's hard to do one and then the other right afterwards just because it's such a big time investment in the other, and you can skip Breath of the Wild, play Tears of the Kingdom. Anyway, I was like, let me play it, all right? And I'd kind of started to believe that here's what happened, right? I got into the Souls games, right? So I played Sekiro, Dark Souls 3, and I was like, holy shit, I love these so much. I love these more than the Zelda games I played growing up, right? And I didn't think I would say that. And I was like, damn, I should, like, really try some more video games. So then I tried God of War, did not like God of War. Dropped God of War, and haven't touched a video game since. So I started to believe that I would only, like, that like, from here on, I'll only like Souls games. Because I was like, I like these better than the Zelda games I played growing up. I didn't like God of War at all. Maybe because the Souls game spoiled me. So I was really unsure playing Tears of the Kingdom. Because I was like, I just don't know. Like, it's not even like the Zelda games I played earlier. Like, it doesn't have dungeons and stuff as far as I understand. I don't know if I like the open world. Tears of the Kingdom is so fucking fun. It's so fun. It's so fun. It's like, I don't even know what to say. It's like, I'm not far at all. I'm not far at all. I took my time doing the tutorial section. I explored as many nooks and crannies as I could of the tutorial section. I was having a blast playing just the tutorial. I spent hours playing the tutorial. I don't even know what to say. Like, I just dropped down into the actual Hyrule world. I killed a Stone Talus. It was fun figuring out how to do that. I don't know. It's just, I'm not far at all. I've not explored really anything, but it just seems, I don't know. I could easily see this being my favorite Zelda game. I could see this, depending on how the actual content of the game goes, becoming my favorite game that I've played. I don't know, and I thought that I was too souls pilled at this point. I will play Elden Ring when the DLC comes out. Here's why. I've been reading what people have been saying about Elden Ring, and a lot of people are like, when the DLC comes out, a lot of people are like, when the DLC comes out, do I start over from scratch, like square one, like just start the whole game over again from like level 1 and then play all the way and then get to the DLC, or do I like go in with my current like just get back into my current I feel like I'm just gonna skip all that. I will play Elden Ring the full package when it all comes out at once, right? That's how I experienced Dark Souls. That's how I experienced Dark Souls 3. I think that it'll just be more fun for me if I play Elden Ring all in one go. Then I don't have like this random 4-month gap while I'm waiting, like tapping my feet for the DLC. Then the DLC comes out, then I get back into Elden Ring mode. I'm just gonna get the full package all in one go, get the full experience. I think that's better in my opinion. I did not play Breath of the Wild. TY says Tears of the Kingdom is actually better if you haven't played Breath of the Wild. That's the thing. I listened to a lot of arguments as to whether I should, like online arguments, and I asked 1 or 2 people in real life whether I should play Breath of the Wild first or Tears of the Kingdom. A lot of people were kind of convinced, like, no, you have to play Breath of the Wild and then play Tears of the Kingdom. But if you broke down their reasoning for why, and then if you look at the advantages of why you could play Tears of the Kingdom first, it is clearly much better to just jump into playing Tears of the Kingdom and skipping Breath of the Wild, because it is a much more impactful game if you're playing it first without having played Breath of the Wild first, just based on all the arguments I'm seeing people explain. A lot of people are confused because they're like, no, but there's things from Breath of the Wild that like will be more impactful for you, like, or more interesting to you if you like play that first and then play Tears of the Kingdom, because then you can see the changes and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but what I'm being spoiled on then is the whole like wow factor of just jumping into this gigantic open world sandbox that you can only really get once from playing Breath of the Wild, right? You don't get that again if you play Breath of the Wild and then Tears of the Kingdom. So why wouldn't I just play Tears of the Kingdom first, get that wow, holy shit, giant open world sandbox feel, plus all of the quality of life changes of Tears of the Kingdom? It is just objectively better to do that than start small with Breath of the Wild, and they can get like a bit of a bump in interesting shit added once you go from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. You guys understand what I'm saying? All right. Let's keep going. Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is Breath of the Wild 2.0, not really a sequel. Yeah, it's just inherently going to be more impactful going from like 0 to 2.0 than going from 0 to 1.0 and then 1.0 to 2.0. The biggest like my mind is blown right now just walking around like doing random shit in Hyrule Field or whatever it's called, like the field that I'm in that seems to be in Hyrule. My mind is blown just doing that, right? It wouldn't be blown right now if I'd already played Breath of the Wild, right? I would just be like, okay, what's new? Right now I'm just like a baby in a amusement park, and it's a better amusement park than like the Breath of the Wild amusement park, right? So this is just better. I did the better route. And the biggest thing is that it seems that, like Ender Yanami saying, both of the stories are low on gameplay or low on story. So if like I do care about story in the games, just not as much as the gameplay, but I do want to be invested in the story and the lore. But it seems as though the Breath of the Wild story is like its least important part, which is why for this instance, I'm comfortable skipping that. All right, let's keep going. All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm reading Wade Turner's chat and then Sneed's Feed and Seeds response. You guys can go ahead and read that if you like. I think that captures the essence of just in general the type of environment that like YouTube and Twitch chats are, you know? All right, what are we doing? What's Zom 100? I don't know what this is. Zom 100 is a D. Why do we even include it in this list? Zom 100. Is there supposed to be a dash in between or something? I'll say A, B, C. Haven't read this year. Okay, I'm gonna throw it in B. I don't want to put any extra thought into Zom 100. This is Sakamoto Days. Okay, this is what everyone's been talking about. Sakamoto Days. All right. Sakamoto Days. All right. Let's see what all the hype's about. Let's see where people put it. Sakamoto Days. I should read Sakamoto Days, right? Let me pull that up too. Let me make sure I have that in a to read thing. Okay, Sakamoto Days. I'm really interested in Dandadan now because that was the fastest S. Like everyone, you all just said S. I saw no. I saw one. I think Brandon King, if I recall, was the lone dissenter, but it was just a string of S's. And holy shit, looks like Sakamoto Days is also in that same category. Awesome. I should read these series. Can someone explain to me a little? No, actually, let me just go in blind. Let me go in blind. All right, last question. JoJo's Part 9. I have read a few. I read the first 2 or 3 chapters of JoJo's Part 9. I think I read either first 2 or 3 chapters of JoJo's Part 9. So I'm super behind. I think those came out in 2022, actually. I forget. How's JoJo's Part 9 been progressing? How's it been going? Dandadan and Sakamoto Days are so good. You know, it's cool to hear that because I think it's been a long time since I've heard people just immediately heaping praise on any of the new generation shonen manga. Are they both shonen? Just any new generation manga in general. Yeah, okay. Dandadan is Shonen Jump plus yeah, I mean, you know, like usually people will have something to say about him. Like people, they will get fan bases quickly, like My Hero. But then even when My Hero is running, like the One Piece fan base was obviously shitting on it for a variety of reasons. Chainsaw Man became popular, but it took a long while for. It was only towards the latter half of Part 1 that people started really understanding that Chainsaw Man wasn't just a dumb chainsaw manga, because that is what it seems like initially. Yeah, Demon Slayer was not liked for a long time, I think still. Kagurabachi made fun of. I mean, Black Clover was made fun of extremely. I think Kagurabachi, you guys were saying, has been okay. Sokka genuinely has the best choreography in shonen. Interesting. All right, let's see where JoJo's at. I think Part 9, honestly, I'm going to try to avoid reading it at all until. I'm just going to try and shoot for waiting till it finishes. I tend to just prefer JoJo's that way, I think. I mean, any series kind of is better that way, right? I mean, most series are better that way, but JoJo's in particular, I think I would get frustrated. I think I would just get frustrated reading JoJo's weekly or doing anything JoJo's weekly because, like, I waited for JoJo Leon to end before I binged it. With JoJo's, I think anything I would just get frustrated reading weekly because the author is really, like, the main thing is he's trying to get from stand encounter to stand encounter is the main thing. And the plot is kind of what moves things along in between. And once you're in a stand encounter, it's going to last many, many chapters. And you're just in it for that bit. Like, and it's cool. It can be suspenseful to read, but at the same time, it's kind of just like he's really not concerned with moving the broader plot forward too much in general. So I feel like I'd just be able to enjoy things a bit more when you get to dip it. Like, I can binge it. Okay, we're doing a stand encounter now. Cool. Get to read the flow of this fight, encounter, whatever. And then dip back into the plot and how things progress there, etc. But it's just the narrative structure of it for me. I think it would be difficult for me to read weekly because I don't know. Like, I need to feel like things are kind of moving or coming together to a certain degree, and I feel like you really don't get that in JoJo's for a lot of it. Yeah, I know it's monthly. I forgot it's monthly. I'm used to saying weekly. Yeah, JoJo Leon took 10 years to finish. I'm fine waiting for JoJo's. I'm fine waiting because that's the other good part of it, which is like a part ends and you close out a narrative arc, right? So then once the next narrative arc opens, it's, you know, as long as you're not in too deep into it, you're not really like waiting on the edge of your seat to see what happens because you've already closed out a full narrative arc, you know, full cast of characters, full plot line, full setting, etc. It's not like, you know, like you're starting a whole new story, right? So I can wait on starting that story for a while. It's not as interconnected as like One Piece arcs or like Chainsaw Man arcs or something like that, you know? All right, guys. What are we doing with JoJo's? This is the last one that we're going to rank out, actually. I assume that nothing too crazy has been happening with it this year because I haven't really heard anything much about it. But that's not a surprise. Like, most JoJo's parts, there's not a ton to talk about early on. I feel like JoJo Leon probably had one of the more interesting mysteries to begin the story with. But JoJo Lands, like, in general, JoJo's, I think, there's not a ton going on towards the beginning. It takes a while for things to kind of come together. Or build up, at least. A? People want to put an A? I'll put an A. Yeah, it seems like an A tier. Alright. Alright. And we're going to close it on that. Alright, everybody. So, this is our list. Alright. S tier manga for the year. Dandadan, which I'm very interested in reading. One Piece, obviously. Jujutsu Kaisen, controversial, I know, but you just have to put it there. And Sakamoto Days, which I'm actually also very interested in reading now, too. So these two I've definitely got to put into... I got to get moving on these. Maybe Dandadan I'll just wait for the anime to come out. I don't know, I'll see. But... yeah, I'm very excited. I've never seen two just brand new, relatively new series just be so praised like this. So we'll wait and see. Yeah, this is the tier where I literally did not read much at all of this year. So I'm kind of just trusting you guys that you said it's good. All right, so these series are apparently good this year. Nothing to complain about. Black Clover, I know it's in its final arc. It's probably kind of dragging its feet. My Hero also in its final arc. I heard some people saying it's a little rushed or anticlimactic. I don't know. Remix King says Oshi deserves at least a poll. Okay, I'll do a poll. I just didn't know how many people are interested. Yeah, Chainsaw Man I have read. I think it's been alright this year. I think it's squandering some of the potential of part 2, in my opinion, that it was kind of building up. Don't know about these two. One Punch Man I've only read, like, checked in a couple times this year to see what's going on, but I know what's happening right now based on the webcomic, like where the series would be at, and there's just not much interesting story stuff that would be going on in One Punch Man right now. Oh damn, a lot of people like Oshi no Ko, but it looks like it's averaging out to A, because a lot of people are also voting B, so it's averaging out to A basically. So we're gonna put an A. All right, A is basically a lot of manga that I've not read this year. Boruto, people universally feel sucks, and then Berserk is basically my pick because look, it's just once that dude started taking over and writing Berserk, it's just not. Every chapter is a reminder of, like, every chapter just shits on what Berserk actually is, basically, over and over. So, Berserk is probably D from now till the end of time. Like, it was basically D from the moment that Mori picked up the pen after Miura. Because it's just, like, it's a reminder that what Miura was doing basically can't be matched. And I didn't even think Berserk was that... I thought it was in its weakest arc at the time that Miura passed away. But at the same time, everything was set up story-wise for the next... like, it was a lull in the story, basically, There's a lot of things set up for much more interesting events to happen again, and hopefully the old level of writing to return. But, you know, it's still Berserk at the end of the day. And what it's at now, like, as soon as the dude started writing, you could basically tell that this is just a hollow shell of what the series once was. All right. Let's, yeah. D says, why even include manga that you haven't read? They look like they're higher than other manga. Dude, I said from the start of this stream, this is going to be largely a community-based stream. There's a few things that I had sharp opinions on, so I made the call there, such as Pokemon Adventures. But for the most part, it's a community-based stream. Don't take it too seriously. If you think that some of these manga should be way lower, these manga should be way higher, yeah, that's perfectly up to you. I did not read that much manga this year. All right, guys, let's move it along. Not move it along. We're done. We're done with it. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah. All right. I will talk to you all later. Watch the new opening. I need to eat dinner. Maybe next time. There's plenty of time to watch the new opening. Maybe next stream I'll watch the new opening. All right, guys. I'll talk to you all later. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah.